You found something to start the session, Paul?
No, I'm just trying to find this thing. What is it? St. James Infirmary Blues.
Don't play it in case it comes through my mic and it might be copyright.
I shall not.
As I welcome you all back to Twisted Fates, to our Halloween special, as my boys try and find some copyright-free, recognisable Halloween tunes to open the session, and it didn't quite work. Everything was copyrighted.
What is not copyrighted these days?
I mean, if you sung it really horribly out of tune, then would be alright.
We can hire someone for that.
Like we can't sing it any other way.
As we bring you to our final Halloween session. The last one for this year, and then we'll maybe do this again next year. We'll see how we feel. As this is our last session with Lewis. Thankfully Aziza's still alive though, as going into a recap of what happened last time, the boys continued to explore this manor house, this estate house, kind of clearing the first floor and finding some interesting things along the way, getting access to the estate office and finding a interesting artifact encased in glass and even a stranger locking mechanism keeping it closed, where they were met with a puzzle, a numbers puzzle, and Orson, through his tinkering techniques, was able to kind of cheese the first half, though they had to work for the second half, going into the trophy room to try and find the second half of the code, where after some frustrations and not a lot of answers, they took a guess, took a chance, and the piece exploded. They lost it. However, the estate office wasn't a complete loss, as Grimm was able to find some information pertaining to the Lord Godfrey, where he was able to find some accounts seeing that the Lord had, over quite an expansive period of time from different times and different places, been able to acquire scientists, engineers, artificers, sorcerers, wizards, scholars, anyone versed in the arcane, as well as anyone versed in mechanics and necromancy. Why? He wasn't too sure. The accounts weren't too clear on that, but they did mention something called the Apparatus, something which the Lord Godfrey had deconstructed, with several parts being strewn around the house, presumably one of those parts being the one that just blew up. But we'll get to that later. As the party then continued to explore the house as it came to life, ghosts and spectres starting to move, paying them no mind, paying them no heed, but with that, something else started to move around the house. Something large and lumbering, something dragging that they could hear, almost smashing its way down the corridors. And putting it to the back of their minds, at least for the moment, they left the estate office and went to explore a few more of the locked doors on the first floor, primarily heading to the kitchens, to that locked trapdoor in the pantry, where, upon arrival, Grimm, Buckethead, Orson and Tanith found the trapdoor blown apart. Not from an explosion, but from something incredibly strong, something incredibly big, coming from the basement. However, Aziza was not there. Stood in fright, Lewis chose to stay in the estate office on his own, where the big lumbering beast, a cadaver collector, found him, or found her, and kind of took you to the basement for some fun times because he thought you were very pretty.
Phrase it like that. Phrase none of that sentence like you just did.
No.
Implications. But, thankfully, despite falling unconscious, being impaled by the cadaver collector, the rest of the party were able to find Aziza, getting down into the wine cellar, finding the hidden door, and getting into the cadaver's basement, where the party then combated the collector, with a few people going down. No one dying, thankfully, but Grimm definitely had his work cut out for him, as when the cadaver collector was eventually killed, you notice that there was almost a mechanism kept inside him, not something that's keeping him alive, almost something he had swallowed, or swallowed or something that had been built into him, as a almost glass tube with brass caps was inside the mesh that had started to melt. And inside that tube was a almost viscous glowing red liquid, not too dissimilar from the colours that emit from Tanith and Ia, where upon testing it at the final end of last session, Orson found that it has very strange properties in terms of taking life from things, where it doesn't necessarily kill something, it takes its essence instead. Where my party had a short rest, though under the effects of a long rest coming into this session. You boys are still in the basement.
We never left the basement.
You never left the basement. But I kind of need you to leave the basement so that we can keep going with this session.
Maybe we could just stay in the basement, just not leave. It's safe enough
Make
down
our way
here.
out of this basement.
Yeah.
As there are some rooms down in the basement, obviously you didn't really explore them coming in. Attention was, let's say, more focused on a more pressing matter. Stares at Lewis. So, you guys have the option obviously to head back up to the first floor, or you can explore some of the rooms on your way out.
To be fair, priority probably should just be on leaving because we weren't done exploring the upstairs first. But if there's rooms down here, no point not checking them. I'm not going to be the one checking them, but in general, getting out should probably be priority number one.
I mean, there's no harm in checking the rooms we have down here, so I think Buckethead would want to check the first room on the left here.
Opening that door, it is unlocked. However, I guess some relief, some disappointment. It is nothing more than a storage room. It has, I guess, some vials, bottles of interesting substances, some jars that contain interesting items. Not so much that Buckethead's familiar with. Organs, entrails, nice little bit of offal that have probably been harvested from perhaps previous visitors to the manor house, you're not too sure. As
If Buckethead had a stomach, he'd be sick.
yeah.
All the ingredients to make you a real boy, Paul.
The only other thing that I guess is perhaps of note is several crates that are in this room that have sawdust packaging in them. So like old-fashioned wood shavings, where inside of them it almost looks like they've been either bought, taken, or acquired from a museum, as a lot of the artifacts that are in it are probably stating early Egyptian. So items of prayer, statuettes, but also things like canopic jars, so mummified organs. Not looking, obviously, won't be as fresh as the ones that are in the liquid jars, but there is a lot of these crates.
Doesn't seem like there's anything here that's like. Obviously, it's interesting if you're like wanting to know, but I don't really want to know. I just want to get out of this place. So I'll just exit the room. Pretend I didn't see any of that.
As I'm going by, probably following quite a bit behind Buckethead, I'd peer into the room, but then continue on and follow after him.
Again, anyone who kind of looks in, you see a lot of these jars of stuff, and then crates of more, I guess, historical artifacts. Again, pertaining to the Egyptian side of things.
Aneth would see that, feel a bit more comfortable for about the course of about half a second, then immediately feel uncomfortable again that that's there, and follow a bit quicker after where Buckethead's going.
Suppose I'd check the next room.
Paul taking the lead. How does this feel?
Unfamiliar.
He's got the HP, he's got the AC,
It's got the
Perfect.
he's got
strength.
the go-getter attitude.
Best man for the job.
When you head into this room, it is, I guess even for the people standing out in the corridor, if you're kind of looking in or even entering into the room, it is a lot colder than the rest of the estate house, and a lot colder than the rest of the basement, as there are 3 slabs almost equally spaced out in the centre of the room, as well as a long and large countertop that spans the whole back wall, where you can kind of see a section of the counter has been removed, and rows of, I guess, doors are built into that cut out slot, where around the room There is a lot of, I guess, smaller apparatus, test tubes, beakers, almost the ashes or burning pots for small flames, knives, scissors, scalpels, tongs, even needles and threads, things to suture. It appears to be a morgue, where 2 of the slabs have nothing on them. One of the slabs has something on it, where you can see standing next to it is a long metal pole that has, well, it doesn't look as fresh as the stuff Orson was testing earlier, but there is a bag that is hanging from the pole, attached to whatever is on the table, that has almost some blackened version of this red substance that Orson found within the cadaver collector.
I suppose I'd pick it up and call for Orson to examine.
Alright, I'll have a look. Is he magical in nature?
I think she's having a drink.
I wouldn't know. Hands it to you.
At least from a first inspection, Orson, it doesn't appear to be magical.
I'll give it an arcana check first before I do an investigation check. 16.
You reckon that at one point, you're not too sure if at one point it was magical or if it's the start of becoming something magical, like this is the unrefined version, or whether there was a refined version and this has almost like gone off. You're not too sure which state it's in. But it does feel unnatural. It doesn't feel like your obviously assumption would be clotted blood. It doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like a liquid. It almost feels like an air, or almost like a jelly.
Could I use my alchemist supplies to make an intelligence check using alchemist supplies?
Try and suss out.
And suss out what I'm looking at. 1d20 plus 11. 26.
Fuck. Damn.
Kind of taking it off the metal pole, almost clearing a little space on the counter to set up your own supplies, ones that you know at least will be uncontaminated. You manage to work out what state this substance is in. It is in a state of possibly unrefined. It reacts similar to the substance you have, just not as violent. It slowly drains the life from things. But this is almost like raw, it's almost like a raw metal or a raw material. It's not been refined yet. You obviously don't know how to do that. This one isn't obviously as useful, but whatever they're siphoning it from, this is the product that they're looking for. This is the product that they're trying to collect.
Was it acidic in nature? Was it acidic in nature?
It is neither acidic nor is it alkaline. It has no reactive properties. The only reaction it seems to ever give is next to life force. So not necessarily a living thing, something with a life force. No matter how small.
I'm not going to touch it, but if I held my hand near it, would it react to me because I technically am not alive?
Oh, good test.
The closer you get your hand to it, obviously with your alchemy supplies, I imagine Orson probably has gloves he wears.
Yeah.
Taking those off and kind of just holding your hand closer to it, it doesn't necessarily sap your life force, but you notice, well, you have a current flowing through you rather than energy, and you notice that the tips of your fingers, almost like those electrical balls, like the static electricity starts to spark at the end of your fingers. It's almost trying to jump between you and it.
I immediately recoil my hand, put my glove back on, and start scraping all of the liquid I can find into, like, some kind of receptacle.
There's a lot of jars around. So
Just empty jars, just chucking tons of this liquid in.
does anyone else have a look around the room whilst Orson's doing some alchemical tests?
I would like to make sure the dead body is a dead body and not an undead body.
I'll be staying by the door, waiting for this to be done, and I guess keeping a lookout upstairs, more with the intention of if anything comes, I can have the first knowledge to run.
Helpful, Tanith. As for
I'll
Grim,
tell them.
you kind of pull the cloth off the body. Positives, the dead body is a dead body.
Okay.
They don't seem to be undead to any degree, but at the same time it doesn't fill you with a lot of, I guess, comfort, as rather than just being a traditional corpse, it almost looks, I guess, mummified, but without wrappings. Like, almost all the liquid, so all the sinew, the muscle, the tissue, the
Right.
skin's still there. All the liquid is gone. It's like a
They've
dried
just been
raisin.
raisinified. Yeah.
Yeah.
Raisinified. Excellent.
Raised enough.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic term. I love that.
We're not too sure
Alright.
what's done this, but it's definitely not done this in a normal way. Nor, I guess, disturbingly, is it likely been done after death. As the way that the jaw has been dislocated and the way that the sockets have rolled back in the eyes, this probably occurred when this person was alive. Either alive or unconscious. That you don't know.
Death by raisin.
Oh, SpaghettiOs. Is that literally going into your notes as death by raisin, Matthew?
Not quite, but the word raisinified is in there.
That's good. That's all I'd ask for. Yeah, all I'm doing is keeping a lookout outside of the door. I'll occasionally peer in, look at what they're doing. Not understand a lick of it, because Orson's literally doing science. And turn back.
Right. Everybody stand back a bit. Orson, make sure every bit of exposed skin is covered. He's got his all glasses, and he's going to attempt to put this liquid through electrolysis. He's going
doing
to
science.
He's going to wrap 2 pieces of metal with copper wire.
Right, yes, I remember
He's going
this
to do
now.
the battery. He's going to grab the end of the copper wire and pump his own electricity through it.
Honestly, what a fucking Chad.
Oh, it's like being in high school again.
I mean, he's just a giant battery at the end of the day.
What a fucking Chad.
A battery with a PhD.
Give me a Constitution saving throw, you.
He went to school.
Lewis is fixing his glowing skin.
Don't call him out on it, he's trying to fix it.
12.
I'll leave it like this now.
Look what you've done.
You're just kind of a floating head. It does kind of work though. As I guess this is the first time you've probably tried to charge something. Rather than trying to channel, you're actually trying to almost force the current through you and into this liquid. Those of you who are in the room, you will be able to see that the liquid in the jar, it doesn't bubble as you kind of expect. It doesn't start to heat up, something else you kind of expect from conducting heat into something, even magical abilities outside of science, something you'd expect. The liquid does, I guess, start to strip a lot of these black, almost particles, a lot of the congealed properties, and it starts to, small pockets of it starts to glow a bright red. Not enough for the whole jar to turn, but enough that it almost starts to refine itself.
Okay, I don't have access to liquid nitrogen, so that's cooling it out of the question.
I mean, do we have anyone in the party who can do that with magic, though?
Is any one of you capable of producing incredibly cold temperatures?
Well, now you're talking my language.
I can also help.
Excellent. I would need all the cold I can get. He will begin to, like, anchor the jar down so that it doesn't get, like, pinged away by the force of the coal hitting it, so that it stays in place.
I was going to attempt just like holding on to it. You know, like in X-Men 2, when Bobby just grabs the bottle.
So, who is casting cold onto this jar?
I shall.
I will help.
Aziza and Buckethead. What cold-based spells do you have?
Ray of Frost.
Ray of Frost? Or 2 Rays of Frost?
Yeah, for us too.
Nice.
2 doses of Ray of Frost, please.
Nice.
See, Buckethead and Aziza are made for each other.
I think she's had quite
I'm
enough of
married.
Strix. that too. As Aziza, Grim, Buckethead, Orson, can I get dexterity saving throws from you?
Oh.
Uh-oh.
I would just like to explain. Orson's not holding it. Orson has like
Oh,
buckled it down with metal screws and is standing back.
Yep, but you're still in the room.
Oh, fun.
The only one who's not is Tanith.
Smart.
Oh.
That's a
Cowardice.
0. That is a 0.
Natural 0.
That is a fucking natural 0.
It's been a long time since I've seen one of those.
So, Grim, Aziza, Buckethead, 28 points of damage.
Sheesh.
Orson, that would be 56 points of damage.
Funny unconscious time. I just fucking smash it against. I'm like, this liquid seems to be reacting in a way that isn't perhaps very. And then, explosion hits the wall, unconscious. Smear of blood down the wall.
Oh.
Now
As-
this looks like a job for me.
It's Grim time.
In a
You
damage, just
anchor the jar down, make sure it's stable, take a good step back, obviously take Grim with you. Aziza, Buckethead from the other side of the room, you blast it with a ray of frost. It starts to crystallise very, very quickly, where the jar starts to crack and the liquid starts to almost expand, where rather than erupting in any form of red or that kind of shade or hue, it almost immediately turns black, like almost evaporates into particles like sand or dust and just covers the whole room. Where Tanith, your vision in the room disappears. You can't see quite what happens. You just kind of hear Orson saying his line before you just hear thud. The dust settles, everything is now covered in this fine ash, where Aziza, Buckethead, Grim, you're looking a bit worse for wear at this point, and Orson's unconscious. The other side of the morgue.
Who's
Did it
closest
work?
to Orson?
Again, this looks like a job for me.
Probably Grim would be closest to
Yeah,
him
I
at this
can-
point.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn to
kind of
Grim and
damage
just
was
ask.
that?
Force.
You asked a question. Oh, force. Yeah, I'm gonna turn to Grim and just ask. What on earth just happened?
Science. And then I shall
It's-
turn over and just immediately start walking towards Orson because I know he can actually explain this situation and I cannot.
Science seems to have a penchant for exploding at this rate. That's true. That's just how science
Oh.
goes.
So bonus action purely because I can. I'm gonna spare the spare the dying him, and then with my action I shall drop a 3rd level cure wounds, which because I am funny grief cleric means you just get a flat 26.
26. Okay.
That's some
Yeah.
good healing.
Back up to basic. Oh no, never mind. I thought I had 53 hit points. I have 63 hit points. I'm on 10 hit points.
He should be
I'm
unconscious.
You know
just
what?
a bit fucked up.
You know what? Take it anyway.
He deserves it.
Take it. You know, you've earned it. Don't know what that accent was.
Treat yourself to some hit points.
Treat yourself.
Orson
Do
coughs
you have
and
to roll for
splutters.
that? Do you have to roll for that because I'm not unconscious?
I would then, yes. Because you're not at 0 hit points, so now you only get this many.
Hey, that's
Oh,
still not too
damn.
bad.
That's still pretty good.
I will take 19.
It's like only 7 less.
At least 7.
Is
That
I'm
it?
didn't
just
go
gonna be-
how I expected it to. But we did learn something.
What did we
That's the
learn?
important thing.
Would you mind explaining what you were expecting to happen?
I was expecting it to have some kind of reaction to the frost. It did. It expanded, which means that it does function like a liquid, because liquids expand when frozen. That's why things that are soaked break when it gets cold.
Alright.
This has also exposed a very important thing that we need to consider is that despite having in all intents and purposes properties of consistent with that of a non-Newtonian fluid, it still abides by the laws of physics. A very intelligent man, who I won't tell you his name because it might fuck things up, and it might also, and you will have no way of knowing who he is, had a selection of laws, and his third law was for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. The amount of cold energy we put in corresponded to an equal amount of expansion. Does that make sense?
Vaguely. Continue.
So, if I'd had liquid nitrogen, that wouldn't have done that. It just probably it would have frozen it, and it would have broken the jar, but it wouldn't have sent me flying into a wall.
Okay.
Is that making sense?
So I guess more importantly, what can we pull from that going forward?
If we encounter something that is very clearly influenced by the liquid, so it's a monster of some kind that produces it, if we hit it with cold energy, its organs will expand, and I don't know if you're very versed in biology, but rapid organ expansion is not good.
I take it, what just happened to the rest of you would happen in the inside of whatever it is.
Precisely.
Alright. So at the very least, the pain seemed to be worth it.
The rest of the studies has brought me to a fascinating conclusion about the properties of this. This liquid is a more raw, unrefined version of this, and he'll produce the canister that Grem gave him. If someone were to ingest even a milligram of this, it would kill them instantly. They would turn into a human prune.
A prumen.
And they would drop dead.
Then let's just hope whoever we need to kill to get out of here requires drink.
Requires bodily fluids. Even then, it just seems that application to the skin, any kind of contact, direct physical contact with animate flesh, will cause rapid cellular decay and rapid moisture deterioration to the point where they're left shriveled and dead.
Even better, we don't even need to worry if they drink or not.
It's very likely that this is a liquid used in modern embalming processes.
Modern what?
Embalming processes. The act of preserving organs for medical, medicinal, or purely collector purposes.
The term is absolutely foreign.
Something about that is ironic, and I can't place it.
A nice keen sense of irony is always appreciated.
It still affected me. I am, for all intents and purposes, an amalgamation of body parts. I am not kept alive by blood, I'm kept alive by electricity.
And yet it still did that to you.
Because it wasn't draining, it was draining my life force, but it wasn't draining it in the way it would a normal human. It was draining the electricity from my body.
That's kind of the moment where Tanith's ability to understand sort of peters off. As that's when it's getting into electricity, which is not.
Okay, so this liquid is very bad. It could be worse, however. Even the refined version could be worse.
I like to imagine, I don't even know if it's possible, but just the fact that Matthew raised his eyebrows there. I don't know how Grim can raise his eyebrows, but...
He just rubs at the one he's drawn and just draws another one that's slightly higher.
What I'm trying to suggest is there is an alchemical process that is used to create, not sentient, but not conscious, because they can't think for themselves, or they have base instincts, living liquid.
That's an utterly terrifying concept.
Scientists in the past and the present who have imbued life into liquid. Typically more gelatin-esque liquid, like slime or black pudding.
What?
But there is a high likelihood that this could be turned into it. This could be turned into a sentient, a conscious goo that absorbs the life force of anything it touches and will seek out life force to satiate its own, basically until it's stopped. Because it's kind of hard for a creature that doesn't have any body functions to become exhausted.
This is a rather impressive conclusion to draw from, what? A single vial and canister?
It's a hypothesis.
Another word that simply doesn't exist.
To you.
As Orson is giving you all this, I guess, explanation, though
It's literally a science lesson.
how much of it any of you are able to understand is debatable. In the background, as he's kind of trying to explain all of this, obviously Craig, you will notice it first. Ia is your familiar. The other three of you will then start to notice the skeletal cat move around the morgue. Obviously just investigating, that is what Tanith has commanded her to do in the past, so instinctively she also as a cat is getting bored, so starts getting fidgety and starts moving around. She jumps
Cat doesn't understand science.
She jumps herself up onto the counter, and where the scorch marks remain there are still some particles. The unrefined liquid has completely been eviscerated, turned into this black ash, but a few of the refined particles, this bright red liquid, still remain on the countertop, where you watch as Io just heads over, kind of sniffs it, as a cat does, and then just starts licking it. Nothing happens, she just starts eating the liquid.
Can you communicate telepathically with your familiar?
Vaguely, emotions, senses.
Describe what the liquid tastes like.
You get no response.
I'm gonna walk over to Ia and more just like pet her for a second, then take another hand and just lift up the head slightly and see if any trace of it's left on her.
She has a little bit on her nose.
Well, whatever it is, it doesn't seem to have any impact on things that aren't alive.
I presumed that. She's a skeleton.
Yes. It's more, there's no other conclusion we can draw from that.
There's not much moisture to drain from a skeleton.
So what do you want my cat to know?
I don't know, your cat's magical. Does it not have a sense of taste?
Maybe it does?
You mentioned senses. Can you not experience its sense of taste?
I actually need to check something because I think that's part of an Eldritch invocation that I don't have. 1 second. I really think that's part of one of the Chainmaster ones. Yeah, that's part of the voice of the Chainmaster, ironically. I don't know, can I just attempt to experience taste stem?
No.
Oh, I myself am essentially a skeleton. Could I just take the bit off of her nose and just kind of put it under the bandages? I don't need to eat, but that doesn't mean I physically can't eat.
Technically, yes. There's nothing stopping you.
Okay, where's the basic description for... Yeah, if E is fine because of grave touched, it's essentially the same as what E is. So, you just essentially just see Tanith take it off the nose, look back at you for just a second, then just put it under the bandages.
So when Tanith touches it and moves it, nothing happens. It doesn't really taste of anything. I guess it tastes a little bit metallic, but other than that, it doesn't taste of anything. Also, interesting fact for those watching as Tanith does this, wiping it from Ia's nose. Whilst being partially skeletal or partially mummified, Tanith does still have living components. He still has, fluid in his body. He's not fully mummified. He's just discoloured. Almost as if whenever he was mummified, this is his more recent form. The liquid should be draining him. It's not.
Well, Orson, there is no taste. I don't exactly know how to describe it, but it gives off the same sense as gestures or whatever other metallic components are in the room.
Bizarre.
If you can glean nothing else here, though, is there any other room to explore in this? Just one more place. If there's nothing more here, we might as well move on.
Let's head out of this basement.
Tally-ho?
Tally-ho. As you head...
As we're walking... Oh no, you go.
No, go for it, Liz.
Okay. Just getting it out of the way so I've got it done. I'm just gonna kind of brush off my shoulders, make sure I've got all this sort of dust off, and then kind of dark aura that was around me the first time you saw me comes back, and I'm casting mage armor on myself, just in case something happens. I already have it.
Just in
Welcome to
case.
sorcerer life. Sorcerers, wizards. It's how you survive.
The joys of mage armor.
Yep.
As you guys head up through the wine cellar, Aziza kind of dusting herself off as she's making her way up the stairs, Tanith following behind as you come back into the pantry and into the kitchens, where, in terms of places to explore, for the ground floor, you guys have crossed off every room on the ground floor. There is obviously the far end door near the dance hall, which was locked, that dealt quite a bit of hefty damage and electricity through chain lightning to some of you. You've still not found a key for that room, but everything else has been opened, explored, and, well, the only place you've not gone is through the main stairwell, heading up to the second floor, or the first floor, depending on where you are in the world.
Depends on your, like, height preference.
Let's go upstairs.
It's either ground and first, or first and second.
Yeah, I'm with Orson here, though. There's nowhere else to go, and there's no point wasting time when we could be on our way up, so...
Way up the stairs.
Unless anyone wants to suddenly pick a fight, I think we're good.
Don't tempt me.
Who are you gonna pick a fight with, Paul?
You guys, no.
Like real life, or like in-game?
No, no. Okay.
So this is the first/second floor of the manor house. A lot smaller than the ground floor, at least in terms of the space that you have available to you, or at least the doors that you can see from here. It is a lot more homely, at least in this corridor as well. There aren't a lot of grandiose paintings or statuettes. It's a lot plainer, a lot simpler. The rug across the floor, leading from one door at one side to another door at the other. Where you assume that the majority of these will probably be bedrooms, so it's just where you want to start.
What's closest to us?
You've
I
got-
mean, since there's only one door to our left, we might as well start to the, like, going left.
Let's search
Yeah.
the rooms in a clockwise direction.
A what?
Clockwise.
What? Wise?
Clockwise.
You keep saying the word as if I understand what it means.
It's the opposite of anti-clockwise.
You see, I understand that putting anti at the front of it means it's the opposite, but I still have no fucking clue what clock means.
Is there a clock in this room?
No.
Tanith.
No. Does anyone have a... Also, Orson, do you have a clock or a watch on you?
Yes, I have a watch, and he holds out the watch to Tanith, and he says, "You see the way that these hands are going?
Yes.
That's clockwise.
Thank you for the explanation.
So we'll go that. So we'll just follow it as if we were the hand of a clock going around the clock."
Once again, thank you.
Don't be fooled. Clocks can be a lot larger than this. This is more what's called a watch. Clocks usually hang on walls.
At this point, I'm ignoring Buckethead and just watching what Orson's doing.
Yeah, I think Tanith's about to hang you on a wall.
All you need to know is that regardless of whether of their size, all clocks function the exact same.
Good to know. Well, temporarily.
As you guys try the first door, it is unlocked. This room seems to span probably over the sitting room and the billiards room, as you can see the big bay window again looking out over into the gardens. This is a master bedroom. You can see large beds centering the room, with the kind of first area reserved for a small seating room as well as a walk-in wardrobe. Everything here is elegantly designed as well as completely untouched. There is a fine set of dust that lingers over everything, though you notice that the bed sheets on the bed have been pulled back. Someone has probably gotten out of it recently. The other thing that you can notice coming into this room is hanging upon the wall to your left hand side, there is a rather large portrait of a man and a woman. The woman's face is still there, her portrait is still complete. You can kind of see long black hair pouring over one shoulder, and it almost looks like she's pregnant in the portrait. The gentleman, however, standing that little bit taller, very traditionally by her side, hand on her shoulder, again is wearing a very stark red oxblood coat, though again his face and several other parts of the parchment or canvas have been torn away, making it almost impossible for you guys to actually, I guess, discern an appearance for him. There doesn't appear to be much else in this room, though I guess stark investigations, considering there is a man and a woman on a portrait, there aren't very many womanly things in this room. There is a vanity, but there is nothing you'd associate with a lady of the house upon it. There is a wardrobe, but a lot of the clothes are pertaining to the lord, not the lady. She seems surprisingly absent despite being centre place in this room.
The clothes could be hers. She could have a penchant for, like, dressing in men's clothes. Nothing wrong with that.
I mean, we're only just starting to get to the, like, late Victoriana, we're just starting to get to the point where it's okay for women to wear trousers.
We're almost there. The max I can do is I'll send Ia snooping through the different drawers and cabinets and stuff, seeing if there's anything that's just missed our attention on a premonitory glance.
Give me an investigation for the cat.
Okay, I always forget to bring up the imp's stat block, so I just need to head up and do that. Investigation, you say?
Mm-hmm.
So it's literally just a 1d20. What's the first roll of the day for me? It's rolling the dice. Give it a second. Oh, I know why it's rolling the dice. You unplugged for the printer and forgot to plug me back in.
Oh.
I've been running on regular charge this whole time.
My apologies.
Alright. I'm now getting charge. There we go. It's an 18.
That was awfully dramatic.
Are you complaining? It worked.
As snooping around the room, Ia starts to pull out some drawers, pull out some shelves, starts to do the very cat thing of very uneloquent investigations of just kind of shifting things off of shelves.
There's the smashing noises as like a nice set of like ornate shot glasses just one by one fall on the ground.
Like, she gets from one side of the room to another, but she has to pass a shelf with books on it, and you just watch as one by one the books land on the floor.
It's my cat.
Until she gets to, I guess, a small desk, kind of situated not too far from these big French doors that look out onto a balcony, where, again, she starts opening up things, and then almost hisses at something inside of the cabinet.
Like, violent hissing, or just...
It's a little bit of a violent hiss, and then she kind of goes quiet.
As in, she's been silenced, or
You're
she's just
You're not
gone
too
quiet?
sure, because she's kind of tucked away around a corner.
Orson,
Let's go.
Buckethead, one with
You
muscle.
just have a look.
I think that's Orson heading around the corner.
I just had to open something up and blind me. As you kind of come around the corner, Orson, and find Ia almost curled up in one of the drawers. You see in almost the ball that she has made, you can kind of see it through the cracks in her ribs and through her bones, as there's not much flesh to cover it up. There is what looks like a red scarab beetle, a jeweled scarab beetle that is just sitting where she seems to have claimed it as her own.
Your cat has a beetle of some kind of ornate beetle.
Yeah, give it to Orson.
For the first time, Craig, she looks at you and hisses.
Cat-based rebellion.
Cat says no.
Instead, I'll head up. Kind of have to scoot myself against the wall to get past Orson, and go over and look a bit closer at what it is.
For Tanith, this is something that is quite familiar. The papers that it's sitting upon, that Ia has curled herself upon, also look quite familiar, though not in paper form, as there are pictures upon the paper beneath her that are not too dissimilar from, well, Pharaoh's palace and Pharaoh's tomb. Though
Fantastic.
they look a little bit, I guess, more rubbled or ruined than you remember. There's a lot of wooden shacks and strange people wandering around them.
Kenneth would feel stressed, but also has the knowledge that this is far in the future. Already has made the claim to Orson that the Pharaoh is likely in his history books, so it doesn't worry Tanith at all, because it's far beyond the right time.
The jewel or the beetle that Ia seems to be holding is, or was, part of, I guess, a neck piece that Pharaoh once worn. A jeweled, almost gold-plated collar that sat around his shoulders. The scarab sat in its centre. The rest of the collar is missing, though because you are a bit more familiar with it, you can see parts of it upon the scarab that have been broken off.
Tanith would relax a little bit, and lean down and gesture for Ia to give it to them instead.
She does so.
And would more just tuck it in as part of the, essentially the collar piece that Tanith wears. I don't know if it would be possible to affix it to it.
You probably could. Fiddling with it.
Yeah, just fiddle with it for a second, and more just turn. There's nothing much in this room in that case. It just shows that whoever owns this place has an intricate knowledge of most of our histories.
Onward then?
I'd like to just walk towards Tanith. Don't know if seeing this as anything.
Can you give me a perception check?
Not good at though. I'm not good at any of these.
Well, just get better at rolls.
I'll try.
It's just that simple.
Yeah, 5 head.
That's not too bad. As you notice two things. Obviously you notice Tanith, you kind of come around the corner with the rest of the group, seeing what the two of them have found, and you see Tanith affixing something to his own collar. It seems to be a jewel of some kind. You're not too sure on what is. Obviously his hands are obscuring it. Looking around at what they found in the desk and recognising some of the papers, as much as you seem to be, or have seemed to be, repressing a lot of memories through your time in this manor house, this is one that you don't have to roll for this is one that can't escape you. As despite looking wrecked and ruined, the pyramids, the palace, the tombs that appear on these documents are very, very familiar. Maybe 3-4 miles, maybe a little bit more, from these locations was once the village you grew up in, that you've tried very hard to get away from.
Why the fuck was he there?
Are you saying that, or?
Yes. Why
Tanith
did
more.
he have to?
Excuse me, what?
Those drawings, that's memories. Tried hard to forget.
Yes, as I just clarified, the intricate knowledge of our histories. This is where I was entombed, hence our histories, gestures at the whole group.
What?
You've lost me.
Say that one again. The one about you.
Yes, Pharaoh's tomb, you know, kept there. After he died, picks slaves to accompany if afterlife ever ends, etc., etc. Common practice.
So you worked for him?
Yes? You've lost me. You're aware of Pharaoh Khaldun?
Very fucking aware. I swear if I had ever saw that man, it'd been chaos. No, my opinions on that man. Strong.
Listen, my apologies. I don't exactly memorize the faces of everybody who comes into the temple, but I don't know you. The max I know about you is you left a very bad impression in the basement.
I don't remember a Tanith. I don't remember much from home. I don't remember you.
Fantastic, and I don't know you. So it seems it goes both ways.
There's something about you. Just who the fuck are you?
Tanith, the shout just takes a step back, gestures for Ia to come up onto the shoulder to, get up on hind legs.
She kind of comes up, curls round, wings outspread, looks at Aziza and hisses.
Is there anything like... Oh...
I don't know what's going on. Tanith is confused, reasonably stressed.
Matthew is perplexed.
Where? So you lived in the village? You lived...
No, my memories are just of the temple.
Before the temple?
No, there wasn't a before.
You were born there?
Presumably, why the questions? We're trying to get out of here, not get further into someone else's head.
My head is, I had someone... I had someone.
Good for you. Very
You
happy
didn't-
about that.
You can't be though. Who wouldn't be?
My name is
No.
Tanith. That is it. End of
Mm.
story.
No.
That is where I worked. That is where I lived. The current story is we are getting out of here.
Yes.
Now can you please stop reminiscing?
My apologies. Walk away.
I turned to the rest of the group as they were here before I was. Has she done that with any of you three?
No.
No. Not at all.
Oh, we have places to be already.
On to the next room.
On to the next one.
Right.
Yes, please, Buckethead.
As
Follow me.
on to the next room, can Grim give me a perception check?
Oh, I don't like this.
You should be decent with these.
Come down the
It's not about
corridor.
it's not about being decent, it's about the consequences.
It's the consequences of me asking Matthew for something.
It's about the consequences.
As you start to walk down the corridor, start to go towards this other door, a much smaller door, though it seems to be for a much, I guess, longer room rather than bigger room. However, for Grim, that's not much of your concern. As you are moving through this corridor, you start to hear chanting.
Oh,
Faint, almost monotonous chorus that seems to be coming from the other side of the corridor. The reason that I pointed it out is it sounds very familiar to you.
it's about the consequences.
He wishes he failed now, because the consequences of succeeding were the bad ones.
Mm-hmm. Where in the corridor exactly?
Coming from
Right,
the
okay.
far end door on your left.
Okay.
The spooky
We can-
chanting is chanting.
Hmm. Okay, familiar in like a good way
As
or like in a
in,
bad way?
remember the necromantic explosion?
Mm-hmm.
Before the necromantic explosion, your memory is very hazy, but you do remember that noise, that chanting being cut off by the big necromantic explosion.
Okay. That does not help me decide how urgently I need to investigate.
Well, no, because your memory's fuzzy. You can't really remember what that necromantic chanting
Yeah.
and necromantic explosion pertained.
Mm-hmm. I think I'll just let's file that away for later use and just
This is a special tool that will be helpful for us later.
yeah, exactly. Let's just let the bucket brigade keep going or whatever we're calling ourselves here.
How can we fit in an extra? No, wait, no. The bucket brigade is BB. It's like the SS, but for bees.
It's also already a thing that exists, but you know what?
Is it?
Fuck. It is. It's like from what is it? The Daily Roll comic. That's where that's from. It just came to my mind because of Buckethead. Because he's leading the way.
I googled it and all I get is this.
Do I want to see?
Yeah, it's just a Wikipedia article.
That's
Bucket
not.
Brigade, or Bucket Brigade for that is BBD.
Can we get this vocoded to the American National Anthem?
As let's put the bucket brigade device away, Craig.
No.
And Grim almost taking a moment, Aziza and Tanith kind of, I guess, being the only ones really to see it, as Orson and Buckethead head into this next room. This next room is split into two. You can see an archway on the far side as you head into what appears to be a nursery. It is set up with toys, doll's house, rocking horse, a set of French doors that look out down the hills onto the village. It seems to be, well, whoever set this up spared no expense and seems to be quite prominently for a young girl. This room, unlike the master bedroom which had some signs of someone using it, definitely hasn't been used in a long time. There is dust over everything. Nothing seems to have moved in a very, very long time. The bedroom through the archway seems to be in a very similar state. What's everyone's passive perceptions again? I've not got this party memorised yet.
13.
13.
12.
Also 12.
15.
Okay. So Tanith, you'd be the only one that really sees this, as everyone else is having a look around the room on basic glance or first glance. You notice that nearby the French doors, kind of coming under the rocking horse and the doll's house, there is quite a large faint stain.
Of
You're not too
anything in particular?
You're not too sure. It just seems dark.
What colour was the liquid that Orson was fucking around with?
It was a variant shade of black, and then when it was refined, it was like almost a bright, glowing, vibrant crimson. Actually, more scarlet.
Is anybody near the this dollhouse at the moment?
1, 2, 3. The moment it would be Buckethead. Rolling my little dice.
So tempted just to let it see what happens, but no. Buckethead,
Yes.
I'd call your attention to the underneath of the house you're about to scoot past.
The under... What?
Do you see that large house in front of you?
Oh. I wasn't paying attention. I thought you meant the basement. We were already in there.
Shouldn't have pointed it out.
What? And, pick up the little house.
Pick up the little house.
2 minutes, I need
Lift
to
up
read my
the-
notes. Okay, that's fair enough. So, you pick up the little house to look at the stain underneath. You're not too sure how it happens or what happens, but there is almost a blinding light that seems to centre from him picking up the little house that covers the entire room, where the appearance of the room changes. It is no longer nicely laid out, covered in dust, completely untouched. The room has instead been turned completely upside down, with blocks, toys scattering the floor. The little house that Buckethead has picked up is only half of a little house, as the other side is completely blown apart against the wall, smashing through the French doors and leading onto the balcony. There is scratch marks across the floor, across the walls. The door that you guys came into has been completely shredded off of its hinges, almost as if something big, heavy and sharp has just lumbered its way through here, swinging, cutting aimlessly. The glass of the French doors lays and shatters, and this stain on the floor starts to have that little bit of a colour to it, almost as if it's fresh. For those of you who are close by, you start to smell the, I guess, rotting metallic scent of blood, as despite not having a body there, there's probably not been a body there for a long time, but in this house it's quite difficult for things to die, it would seem, as there appears to be the shadow, the shade, the spectre, the remains of quite a small body in the corner against the French doors.
No.
We'll have a look at that.
Shall I put this down?
No, I think you're good holding that for now.
Okay.
It's a nice centerpiece for the room.
Aziza, can you give me an investigation?
I can certainly try.
I'm just enjoying Paul.
I also like how Lewis has gone through different shades of lighting through this whole video.
These different shades of Lewis.
I'm just a rainbow.
At this point we'll get to
Yes,
50 Shades of Lewis.
18. Don't say that.
That's a quote.
As you kind of take a few steps forward investigating the scene, you kind of trace the pattern of the destruction. It seems like someone has come into this room, very intentionally, almost throwing some stuff around. You can see that they, rather than going straight to the corner of the French doors, scratched and scraped and went to the left-hand side of the room, not too far from the bedroom, where the rocking horse has not been destroyed, but has several cuts and almost pierce marks to it from this sharp implement. Where whatever it was taken next, it was moved towards the French doors, where almost, I guess, mid-flight or mid-run, the implement, the weapon, had hit its target, almost sending them careering against the wall and probably killing them instantly in quite a violent death. The, I guess, unsettling thing for Aziza is the size of the body is, whilst very clearly female, still very much a child.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I'm just gonna fucking let out a little scream and run the fuck back.
Are we leaving? Can I put the dollhouse down?
Yes. Unless you want to take it with you. I think it's about time to
No.
put it down.
I'll just leave it here.
As Aziza almost runs and screams, Buckethead awkwardly putting the doll's house down in the background, you almost are stopped dead in your tracks, Lewis, as Aziza comes face to face with a spectre. Though this one seems to be a little bit more corporeal, or a little bit more, I guess, recognisable. As you've just come from the master bedroom, and whilst being white and very much ghastly, almost gaunt in her expression, there is a woman, maybe in her early 30s, standing, watching something, you're not too sure. Long dark hair being her only stark feature, where, as you stop dead in her tracks, she suddenly screams. Not at you, but clearly at something else, as she's almost hauntingly looking completely through you. As she screams, turns heel, and runs out into the corridor, where you can hear her footsteps running.
Come on.
Did we all see that, or...?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna follow, just shout to you guys, fucking come with me. The body of the girl didn't look familiar, did it?
Nope.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna let Ia go first after him, because Ia can fly at 40 feet, so can catch up. And I'll wait for the rest of the gang to file out, hopefully to follow after her, before doing something myself.
As Ia, obviously racing beside Aziza, you follow this spectral woman, where she runs...
Ia goes invisible, by the way. I forgot to clarify that.
That's fair. Where she runs, comes out the door, turns left, and starts running down that corridor, where she doesn't break left, she breaks right, the last door on that room, where you watch as she almost grabs the handle, swings it open. The door itself doesn't open, but you can see her swing it open as she runs into that room, the door closing behind her, where the five of you can hear it slam, almost shaking the house, as she disappears.
I'm assuming we're all giving chase to Aziza, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just mid-run. Where's my spell? Hold on. As I get to the door, kinda do some wavy hand shit. And that kind of dark mage armor aura just completely envelops me. And I'm casting Greater Invisibility.
Ah.
Aziza disappears.
Now there's an invisible woman and an invisible cat following a ghost lady.
Sounds like the
And
start
then
of
I'm
a
gonna
magic.
go through the door.
Yeah. As you kind of swing it open and head in, obviously the four of you will be able to see Aziza disappear, vanish completely, but you will be able to see obviously the door opening, as clearly she has gone into the room just slightly more undercover. As when you head into the room, Aziza, it is another bedroom. It's done up a little bit nicer, though a lot of the, I guess, decorations are now wilted and dead. A lot of them are flowers, and the whole room smells faintly of perfume, where you are able to see the, I guess, spectre of the woman, where she comes into the room, she runs into the corner, she almost seems to be reacting to something. She then almost slumps over and disappears.
Is there anything else I can see in the room?
giving it a look over, giving it an investigation. Kind of heading in that little bit further, you see that where she slumps over, there is still a body there. Again, like the one in the nursery, a lot of its features have turned into this almost shadow or shade, almost trapped in this moment in time, where you can see that there's quite a heavy gash in her shoulder and quite a heavy gash that comes through the side of her neck, as well as most likely post-mortem a lot of other puncture wounds. Whoever did this, it was done intentionally and it was done with a lot of malice. As for those giving chase as well, obviously you guys come into the entrance to this small room following Aziza. You obviously can't see her, but you are able to see this room with its wilted flowers and its decorations, very much suited to the lady of the house. But you hear the scream again from the nursery, and as you stand in the archway, you see her spectral spirit, you see her ghost, running down the corridor again, running into the room, being confronted by something, and slumping in the corner, almost as if she is stuck in this loop. Like most things in this house seem to be, that most things in this house, the ghosts seem to be almost stuck in this cycle where they don't recognise you, they don't notice you, they are stuck in whatever they were doing prior to their death.
Aziza?
What the fuck is going on here?
She calls out from the void.
You still invisible?
Still invisible.
Show yourself.
No, I don't think I will. I'm coming past. I'm just gonna tap him on the shoulder. Can I please go to another room?
Why are you hiding yourself?
I've fucking used it now, haven't I? Might as well keep it up.
I'm getting all the mileage I can out of this.
I paid for the. I paid with the whole for the whole spell. I'm going to use the whole spell.
So
I only get it once per long rest. I need.
Buckethead's in room, Aziza's in room, obviously. Aziza trying to get past Buckethead. Would anyone else have come into the room other than those two at this point?
Again, I usually wait for everybody else to enter a room first, so not just yet. So mainly looking at Grim and Orson, I guess.
I would have, because Grim is a nosy bastard.
Without a nose.
Well, that's why he's got to be nosy. He needs to compensate.
Hmm.
Orson, would you have gone into the room?
Yes.
Cool. As you kind of stand and gather, Aziza, obviously, you can hear her trying to make her way past Orson, as you have seen this house come to life maybe once before, as obviously trying to get past, Buckethead starting to move out the way, the door open, Tanith being the only one outside, the door slams shut. The four of you in the room and Tanith on the outside.
Well, this is wonderful.
It's about the consequences.
Buckethead, can you open the
Yes.
door?
Of course. Opens the door.
The door doesn't open.
Problem?
I'd try again.
Door still doesn't open.
It would appear to be locked.
Does that mean my cat's also in the room because it was with Aziza?
Yeah, he is also in the room. As for the people in the room, the four of you start to smell smoke.
Oh.
It's about the consequences, Matthew.
About the consequences.
Just not mine.
What does the smoke smell like? Or is it just like a regular sort of barbecue smoke, you know?
I would say it's almost that, you know, like when you're striking a match
Mm-hmm.
and it's producing that little bit of smoke just before it ignites. It's that kind of almost preliminary fire smell, candle smell.
Can we see smoke in the room? See where it might be coming from?
There are several objects in the room that are starting to almost produce a black smoke as you look around, and several objects start to ignite.
Why?
I'd shake the door furiously.
Do I see the door shaking furiously?
Tanith on the other side, you can hear like the door slam shut, and then all of a sudden you hear it, the handle turn, nothing happens. The handle turns, nothing happens, and then you just hear the shudder, 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 shudder.
I'd more try the door
Hello,
from my
please
side.
help me.
Is there any pull from this side?
Nope. Doesn't open.
I'd more shout out. Is everything alright in there?
No, not at all.
Would you mind unlocking the door?
I can't.
Alright.
Can you see anything in the room? Maybe to help open the door.
Just punch it, Buckethead.
In a panic, Buckethead is going to rummage through his items to see what he has available.
Oh, no, what
And
is-
to his relief, he finds in his little bag a portable hole, which he places against the door.
Oh my god, that would work, wouldn't it?
Quickly now, and I usher everyone through the hole.
A 6 foot diameter portable hole.
This is an ingenious use of portable hole.
Extra dimensional space 10 feet deep.
I need to check,
Oh, you're a genius.
because I think it would. Because obviously a portable hole kind of works as a pocket dimension to some degree.
It literally
Yeah.
has rules for creatures trying to get out of it if you trap them inside of it.
Yeah, it's a DC 10 strength save, and if you pass, you pop 5 feet away from whoever made the hole.
But you yourself can go in it willingly. It's only if it's folded
Okay.
up.
So it wouldn't create a perfect hole to the other side of the door. But if you're ushering everyone through the door, what I need them to do is I need them to make a strength check to see if they can break through the portable hole on the other side.
Oh, is that how it works?
No,
What?
but I'm ruling
What?
it.
Okay.
So essentially, on a successful check, the creature forces its way out and appears 5 feet of the portable hole of the creature carrying it.
Paul, are you trying to usher everyone through the door or just usher everyone into the pocket dimension?
I'm trying, like, maybe I read it wrong. I just imagine, like, the hole, like, obviously it can be, like, 10 feet deep. It just makes, like, a hole in the door that can be, like, taken away and stuff like that.
Not quite. A portable hole creates a space.
Okay.
Which
Like,
can be
you put
used-
it on the door, which will open up into a pocket dimension. I'd see nothing from the end at the edge of my side. You're essentially
Oh.
putting everyone into a new dimension.
Oh shit. Okay, that's
It's tiny.
that's not what I meant, but I'm gonna roll with it.
But what you can do is essentially, if someone succeeds the strength check in the space, they can pop out of the hole 5 feet away from it. So
Okay.
essentially, they can run through the hole and then pop out on the other side of the door if they succeed
Okay.
the strength check.
If not, they're just stuck in your pocket dimension.
Yeah, that's also the
Oh, the
problem. Also, if you run
hole,
through,
the hole is still open.
Yeah.
Like they can.
they can come, but they can only go back into the fire room and try
Yes, they have
again.
If
The
they
on-
want to escape, they have to escape through the other side.
The only thing that this would do, Paul, if you're doing it like this, is you would lose your portable hole. Because you'd have to run through it as well.
Damn it!
Would he think of that though, or would this just be that I need to get out of here?
I think yeah. Okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna waste their magic item.
This
But,
is a rare one too. This is the one you just got.
I know that. No, I think in a panic, Buckethead would do that.
Throws up the portable hole and rushes everyone to go through.
That's fucking genius.
Who is the first to attempt to go through the hole? Or do you guys even go through the hole? Buckethead's just thrown this black space up and told you to run.
I'm gonna watch and just see if the others go in. And whilst I'm waiting, it's gonna try and shoot a few ray of frost. See if I can put some of the fire out.
It does start to become quite... you are able to contain it a little bit to start with, but as more items seem to start catching, it becomes almost impossible to quell it, to the point that the four of you are kind of contained in this very small space.
Right. Is it actual fire?
It's actual fire.
Oh.
I think it's whole time.
We don't have any pyrophobes in the party.
Why do you think Buckethead's using a portable hole? As who's the first to go through? Grim, you gonna take the chance?
Okay. Can I do so, but can I, like, do an Arcana check on it as I'm going in?
Okay, so give me an Arcana check and then give me a Strength save.
Save. Oh,
Well, it's a Strength check actually, not save. But
so there's Arcana. So just flat strength.
flat Strength.
Okay, excellent. Which we fail. Oh no. Never mind.
As you kind of start walking cautiously at first, the fire starts to spread, starts to grow, so you know, you take your time and you head in, assessing it as you do. So this seems to be maybe some form of transmutation magic, maybe some form of teleportation, you're not too sure, as it seems very tight, very confined, where you almost hit a wall. It kind of just stops and you start to kind of put your hand out, touch it, you don't feel anything, it's almost just an invisible barrier as you kind of push through it, where Tanith, you watch as the door starts to crack, where strangely enough you're not too sure how it maybe came through the crack, but you're almost knocked back. You were standing quite close to the door. Grim is now very much on top of you.
Don't phrase it like that.
Okay, so before I do what I'm gonna do, 'cause I'm gonna do something about that. Ia was in the room, right? So I just need to say how. Is there enough space for a spider to crawl under the door?
Yes.
I'll have literally just had Ia transform into a spider because imps can do that and get out under the door.
Little skeleton
How
spider.
convenient.
However, Grim is now on top of me.
Yes.
That is contact. Matthew, can you make a strength save? As Tanith would scream.
I can certainly try. There we go, that's the result I was expecting.
What will you take?
Oh no.
13 force damage.
Okay, that's not too bad.
As Tanith screams, you can literally watch some of the wrappings come off the shoulders, come off the arms, come off the legs. A lot of these sort of like bandages come off of Tanith and wrap around your different limbs, keeping you in place as Tanith scrambles away. Because you're grappled.
Just pinned by the bandage. Apologies.
Do not touch me ever again.
Sorry.
As you'd watch Tanith have to take a hand, place it against their chest, and just breathe heavily as you feel the wrappings loosen around you.
Sort of like dust himself off a bit and sort of press himself. If you backed off, imagine he presses himself like against the opposite wall. Just trying to keep his distance.
Even though you've come through the door, which is obviously a bit more interesting, Tanith's single red eye is just focused directly on you and the distance between the two of you. As he slumps himself against the wall, very fucking tired.
In the fire room, the three left, can you guys make me some dexterity saving throws?
Oh, swell.
You didn't start the fire.
Just always burning since the world's been turning.
Thank you, Matthew. I felt lonely.
Paul, you take 9 fire damage.
Sick.
Aziza, Orson, you take 4 fire damage. As the flames start to spiral and lick at you. Who's legging it through the hole?
I'm a try.
Orson's like, fire, fuck, shit, no, fuck.
Both of you give me strength checks as you run.
Oh
through
no,
the
do
hole.
we have 2 pyrophobes? Well, it makes sense for you, and actually, being Frankenstein.
Oh. It would appear 2 people running into your portable hole at the same time. Aziza kind of always readies herself, kind of gets a little bit caught on the flames and just legs it through. Orson, not a lot of fire, but just that little bit is enough to spark you, sending you into flight and sending you legging it, to the point where the 2 of you both hit this invisible wall and are unable to pass through it.
Well, you're the smart one. What the fuck do we do now?
Could just keep trying.
Orson just screams and keeps running.
How thin is the wall?
For this portable hole, you reckon if you were probably just to keep going, keep pushing, you'd probably break through it.
I'm gonna try and smash through the wall.
Give me strength, athletics if you've got it.
I have athletics.
Nice. As Buckethead, can you give me a dexterity saving throw?
God. Just because I'm still in the fire.
No. This
No?
was for something else. As Orson and Aziza are in your portable hole, Orson's trying to break through this kind of invisible wall, just trying to charge through it. He takes it in this almost flighted frenzy, attempts to, rather than pushing through or escaping the hole, attempts to break through the wall and shatters your portable hole. where Aziza and Orson, you end up on the other side of the door to this very standoffish encounter between Grim and Tanith, one on one side and one on the other. And Buckethead, you are unable to jump through your hole in time before it breaks.
I'm trapped in the room with the fire.
You're still in the fire room.
I'm writing Orson destroys my hole.
Oh, also, just since people can see it now, I'd like to make Matthew aware that one of the bandages is still wrapped around his neck specifically. The ones around the limbs are gone.
Okay.
Orson just Kool-Aid Man's his way through the fucking wall.
But like, there's not a hole for me to get through, is there? Seeing what
okay?
I don't know. Seeing what's happening, I'm going to attempt to try and keep shouldering the door and like, which way did its hinge open? Like, did it open into the room or out of the room?
Out of the room. So you reckon if you probably just gave it a good charge?
Do I have any space for a running start? Actually, no, you don't do a running start. You stand right in front of it. You just boot the door.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna attempt that.
If you running started it as well, you just go into the fire.
Yeah, exactly. So I won't do that. So just what, like a strength?
Strength with athletics if you've got it.
Oh, I do have athletics.
Survive. Buckethead, survive.
21.
As Aziza, Orson, you're on the other side of the door. You kind of stumble through, almost falling, tripping, stumbling just away from it. Where Tanith's on the other side. I feel like I'm saying this a lot tonight. Grim, Aziza, Orson, give me dexterity saving throws.
Why am I safe?
Because you're not on the you're not in front of the door. Grim just gets it because he's on that other side of the wall.
That's a sick nat 20.
Fab. So you all pass, which means you all manage to deftly avoid the splintering door that is suddenly turned into tiny wooden shards as Buckethead's foot just... There's not even like the door swings open as he kicks it open. His foot just goes straight through it, and the cracks just splinter the wood to the point where there is now a nice little hole for you to crawl through, Buckethead.
I crawl through like I'm in the Great Escape, and boost down the corridor.
He runs down the whole other side. As with the shattered door, you can smell the smell of smoke, at least for those guys in the corridor, and for Tanith as well. Though looking into the room, nothing seems to be burning.
Tanith is a little bit still fixated on Grim, with the bandage that's around his neck only slightly starting to loosen now.
So, in there wasn't very fun. What happened out here?
Someone got a little too close.
Alright.
Now, where on earth have the four of you been? Their eyes still just on Grim.
At this point, I suppose I will drop my invisibility if it's not already dropped.
I've asked where the four of you have been.
Locked in a room with fire. Detestable as that may be. Don't want to do that again.
Excuse me, but as finally the red eye is taken off of you, Grim, that room doesn't exactly seem to be on fire.
Fucking illusory fire, I knew it.
Did it burn any of you?
Burnt me.
So,
An impressive illusion, then, to be able to harm the physical form.
Very.
As it doesn't feel very nice, Matthew, but the bandage almost slithers around your neck to remove itself. I don't know if you can even feel your own neck. I know you're a skeleton.
No, and it is wrapped in like a very heavy scarf as well.
He's got his little scarf.
Yeah,
It's the point where the bandage being around your neck, it'll have tightened the scarf around whatever
It's
neck
just
you
like-
have.
It's like it's a big puffy scarf. It's now really tiny and skinny as it's attached itself to your spinal cord.
As it'll slowly slither around and eventually just pull it back, slacken on the floor and reattach itself to Tanith's bandages. Well, was there anything in there besides a ghost, corpse, lady?
No, not really.
As for Grim, the chanting is louder. Thank you, Craig, for providing chanting noises.
Can I? One thing at a time.
ooga, 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 shaka, ooga, 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 shaka.
I can't stop this
Yeah, I was
feeling.
waiting for someone to come in with the lead.
And copyright strike.
And we're dead. There goes all of the revenue we'd ever get in the future.
All the 0 pence of it so far.
So I said future.
Yeah.
Do you look distracted, Grim?
He would, yes.
I take it wasn't just the strangulation that has you wrapped up like that. What is it?
Nice pun. Give me a second, because I'm actually distracted with notes.
Oh, are you now?
Mm-hmm. Right. Apologies.
No.
Can you not hear that chanting in there?
Listen, there's strange noises all about, but chanting is a bit specific to not be able to hear.
It's familiar. Not in a good way.
Alright, where then? Where's he
Door.
pointing?
It would be the study area, right?
Yeah, the big black door behind him.
Yes.
Well, it seems almost every room in this place is haunted in some way, so why don't you just get it over with?
At this point, he'd sort of like scan around the rest of the gang for any objection to this proposal.
Buckethead's still calming himself down at the other end of the corridor.
I'm in a little ball, curled up,
What in the fetal, just in the fetal position?
rocking back and forth. You just hear the like gentle creak and clang
Clank,
of
clank, clank, clank.
Just a Newton's cradle.
Buckethead likes cats, so I'm gonna have Ia go over and just... You know how you comfort a cat by like just petting it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have Ia do the same, but to Buckethead.
Is in amongst the clanging and the clattering of Buckethead rocking back and forth, you just then hear the little bone almost tapping the metal as like Cat sits down beside you. The wings kind of like furl and curl in as the paw just goes on your foot and she just kind of pats it.
Reverse pets.
Kitty. And I'll come out of the fetal position and pet Ia.
Ia will probably go to hiss, and then I'll just have I'll glance over to Ia just to be like, accept it for now.
Like
He's
the back,
strong enough that we need to keep him able.
the back starts to arch and then she sees you almost telling her off and then she kind of just sits, hunches her shoulders and just lets him pet her.
Kitty.
This is a useful one, Ia. He's very big and strong, and carries holes in his bag.
Not anymore. Because Orson destroyed my hole.
You only had one hole.
Can you stop phrasing it like that, please?
I defy you to tell me what's wrong with what I said.
No.
That's what happened. He destroyed Bucket.
I'm very aware.
I had a hole
very
and
aware.
Orson destroyed it. Hence Orson destroyed my hole.
The hole was gone.
The hole is gone. Hole is obliterated by Orson.
Stop saying it like that.
Thank you. Someone agrees with me.
As with Ia, like, kind of weirdly cradling, she's still not too sure about this as he comes over, Buckethead petting the cat. Whereas,
I lost my cool there.
Once he's up and it seems he's actually conscious again, I'll whistle Ia over.
Oh.
And almost like immediately just take her in very close, even like put different parts of her under some bandages. Let her relax.
Where are we off to next?
Well, Grim's hallucinating, so we're going to see where that goes.
Fascinating.
as the door Grim gestures to, the door Grim points to, is a relatively large double door, though it isn't very traditional in its appearance. It doesn't appear to be wooden, it appears to be made out of stone, though in a wooden facade. It doesn't have a traditional lock, though carved around the black panels and taking its centre is the thorns and leaves with the bloom sat in the centre of a door of a black carved rose.
Matthew's suddenly unhappy. I wonder why.
Oh, the consequences. No. I've beaten that dead horse.
It's
Yeah,
your
but
All the way
trademark.
to the glue factory.
it's in our complete remit, Matthew, to beat a dead joke further than the
I
grave.
know where. I know where.
Well, there's a lot more for a grave. Well, for a horse at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
As there doesn't really appear to be an obvious way to open this door. There's no handle, there's no lock, it's just the stone carving. You can see the seam in the middle where the door will open, somehow, as the rose sits at the centre.
You look noticeably perturbed again, Grim.
I imagine the black rose is also somewhat familiar to him, just for no reason.
Yeah, it's kind of like that thing of like, you have maybe a little bit of a memory of it, and well, because you're looking at it, because you know, have it in your head, you assume that you were looking at it at one point in your life.
Just weird deja vu.
A little bit,
he would
yeah.
look just perplexed.
Well, if he's not going to open it, are any of us?
Push.
Pushing it yields nothing. It does not open.
Pulling.
There's no handle to be able to pull it.
Are the doors slightly ajar?
Nope. It is a sealed...
Can I try and wedge my fingers in and slide them?
You can give it a go. Give me strength.
Strength or athletics?
Just strength.
10.
Nope. You cannot get your... even... the seam seems to almost be sealed. Perhaps half a centimetre, maybe in it. Actually, no, probably more like half an inch in. Where it seems like you're going to have to do something to get it to open. It's not going to open by force.
Is there any kind of inscription?
None. Nothing other than the black rose.
Is the black rose like carved on, or is it an indentation?
It's carved. It has been carved, and then almost the almost etchings have been done with either black ink or black stone to give it that black appearance.
Does any of it look like it moves?
None.
The rose.
None at all.
Can I try pressing the rose in?
Nothing happens. It doesn't move.
There's no like lock or anything, right?
None.
No. Okay.
Me with my 9 intelligence solution, last puzzle ended up having it exploding, so I'm leaving this one to the intelligent party members. Tanith is also not as rushed because he's currently very stressed after what just happened, so.
Got no clue. This is very perplexing. No, yeah, no inscriptions, no writing. Are the thorns on the rose sharp?
Nope. It's just been carved in, almost just to keep the pattern, to keep the design expanding upon this centre rose.
Good idea there, though.
Okay.
As hopping back to D&D, Grim, what was your plan?
Oh yeah, I was going to inflict wounds the door.
Oh, necrotic.
Yeah. It's the lowest level necrotic spell I have.
As Orson goes up trying to inspect the door, finding a mechanism, finding something, Grim heads up, puts his hand against the door, casts inflict wounds. You watch as this almost necromantic energy seeps from the hand of the skeleton, or from the glove of the skeleton, considering he's very covered up. And you hear as the almost stone starts to break and dust starts to spew from the door as the stone doors open, though it's I guess not a very comforting sight on the inside for Grim either. Lots of memories are being pulled back today. As it's all about them consequences.
It's this session's gimmick.
As opening the doors into the study, rather than what you'd expect from a study, walls of bookshelves, perhaps a drink cabinet, a central seating area, a desk, there is none of that in this room. The far side of the room is completely mirrored, this almost black glass completely covering it. There is windows, but the curtains have been drawn, thick black curtains that keep the room in a dim light that centres from a circle. All the furniture has been moved to the side, stacked against the walls to make way for this circle. A multi-layered, almost runic circle, where in the centre there is a podium with what looks like a cog or a gear upon it. The circle is almost humming. It is active. This purple light seeming to glow as, again, it's almost like flashes in your memory from this evil necromantic explosion, where you remember seeing these runes, you remember seeing these patterns, you remember seeing this circle, and then explosion.
I don't like this.
Where it would appear this almost summoning circle style ward is protecting or surrounding this center pedestal.
Nothing about this room looks special to Tanith.
Nope, it's just a Grim, really.
That was more a statement for me.
I know.
I'd like to analyze the runes, please.
Give me an Arcana as you guys head in and start to circle these runes.
21.
These runes are not much to your relief summoning, considering that they derive from the school of necromancy. That would have been very disconcerting had they been summoning circle runes, though they are very similar. There's just slight changes that have been made to them to instead link them more towards the school of abjuration. This is a ward, this is a protective circle, this is to stop people from, well, presumably getting to the rune in the middle. You reckon if you don't meet the right remit, or you don't have the right aptitude, or you're not what the circle particularly wants, you'll probably either get expelled or, well, considering it's necromancy, you might be in for a tough time trying to move very far without it draining your essence, draining your life force, and eventually just turning you into a skeleton.
Well, it appears to be some kind of necromantic ward. What are the runes made of?
They've almost been burnt into the ground.
That's what I was looking for. If I send out a lightning lure towards the ward, towards the runes, does it do anything? Like, not touching them, but like trying to pass them with the lightning, not myself, just the lightning.
You watch as almost a purple and black mist kind of just, I guess again, this kind of almost wall, this ward reacting, protecting it. The runes keeping it up, but also in some ways kind of protecting themselves, as your lightning lure can only get so far before this kind of misted wall interferes and doesn't let it go any further.
How far does it get?
On the edge.
Is there any runes that the lightning lure could touch?
None.
None. Because my first thought was alter the runes, change the spell.
This is some very high level magic.
I mean, you said you've hunted wizards, Ewan. Do you have anything to deal with magic, like specifically?
Would I, in my bag, would I have anything that would in particular deal with counteracting wards? Because I've faced wizards before, and I've probably faced wizards that have booby-trapped literally every movable object in their homes.
Nothing that would probably be able to deal with a ward like this. This is a lot more permanent. This isn't so much as a booby trap. This is much more with your Arcana check. I'm trying to think of a way to describe it. It's much more of, I guess, a passageway or a gateway, a yes or no. It's set up specifically to only let certain people pass it. Kind of like an arcane lock.
It's an arcane logic gate.
Kind of. If you have if you have the thing it wants, it will let you through. If it doesn't, it might let you through, but you might also have some repercussions, consequences.
Would I be able to tell what it wants?
It is necromantic energy, so perhaps something necromantic.
I'm gonna take out the jar of the raw goo, the unrefined goo, what I could scrape off and what remained in the jar, and I'm gonna take it out on a little test scraper, and I'm just gonna kind of flick it.
It lands on the ground. It passes through the barrier, it just lands on the ground. Doesn't seem to react or do anything.
Orson really is just a true scientist, like through and through.
Is it a floorboard? Are they on floorboards?
I would say wooden floor, but not necessarily like floorboard style, more like panels or slats of wood. A little bit
Oh,
bigger, fancier.
do some of the slats extend out of the ward?
A few of them.
I would like to go up to one of the slats that extends outside and attempt to snap it and drag the rune out and break the circle.
Give me strength. Athletics, if you have it.
This is so in depth. I love this.
25.
So you are able to break the floorboard. You can kind of see it detach. You can see it splinter away from others, and you pull it out where it appears the circle has been broken.
I'm gonna lightning lure it again to see if the ward's still there.
Your lightning lure seems to break through it. It just extends its full length.
Now, lads, I may have cracked this portion of the puzzle, but there's definitely a caveat to this. There's a trick. I have reason to suspect that the runes may have been there purely decoratively to assume some kind of thing. What is in the middle that I'm needing to reach?
It appears to be a cog or a gear of some kind.
Can I Indiana Jones it with my lightning lure? I'll take some. Can I Indiana Jones it?
Not with your lightning lure, because your lightning lure can't take and give at the same time. You're gonna have to get closer to it to be able to Indiana Jones it.
At this point, I think we should just make
No.
popcorn and watch. This is a good movie.
I have Mage Hand.
Yo!
I don't have mage hand.
I do.
Oh, Grim and Aziza.
Oh.
Who wants to yoink and who wants to eat?
Alright.
The Lord
I
yoinked
mean,
and
I
the
don't have
Lord
anything to
away.
eat.
Well, get something. We're in like a study, so there should be plenty of things you can just hopefully grab.
What's the kind of weight difference between this cog and the dagger? Or a few daggers?
Give
Few
me
of those.
give me an intelligence.
Oh, that's not gonna. Oh.
It's quite a big cog. You reckon maybe 2 or 3 daggers could probably do it?
Also, the problem, I think, if we can lift it with the Mage Hand, it can't be very heavy, which is the problem. So what's the limit on the Mage Hand? It is
5?
10 pounds.
5 pounds, I thought it was 5.
10 pounds. Oh.
It's catapult that's 5, I think.
Oh, yeah, because you're mace.
Yes. My funny yeet spell.
You can maybe have a look around some of the discarded furniture to see if there is, I guess, perhaps a more suitable item rather than sacrificing some daggers.
If we need to make it one object, we can just bind some daggers together.
Who wishes to snoop?
Who is this the what?
Snoop.
Snoop for...
Counterweights.
Oh, shit, sorry. It's my bad.
Well, if Grim and Aziza are doing the yoinking and the yeeting, can the two of you give me an investigation?
Snoop check.
Me doing snip check?
You doing snoop check too?
No.
So
If I know what they're looking for, can myself and Ia potentially look for things? Just help them.
yes, you can also give me investigation to see if you can give them a hand.
Can I just have Ia help me?
Yes.
That is a 17.
Cool. So, Tanith, Grim, you guys start looking around, starting to fiddle through some of the, I guess, discarded furniture. See if you can find something that is about the same weight, enough for your spells to be able to deal with, but maybe enough to switch the runic cog out. Tanith, you are obviously very careful to stay very far from Grim. As you're able to find something that kind of looks like it could work. This kind of discarded furniture not too far from the black glass, this kind of wall. You notice it's strange at first, this kind of reflective surface. It reflects quite a lot of things in the room, but it does seem to reflect Grim as he's kind of walking in the background.
What does, sorry? Sorry.
this kind of almost black reflective glass against the back wall.
So it's just reflecting Grim.
It just seems to be reflecting Grim.
No one, like, is it just me and Grim that are in this would be in the range of this reflection?
At the moment, you can't see. I guess it's maybe because you're not looking at yourself. You're kind of almost keeping him in view, that you can see him in the window or him in the reflection. Your eyes are very focused on it. But right now, he's the only one that's appearing there for you.
I'm assuming he just looks the same. Just looks like robed skeleton man.
Not quite.
Well, that's not the answer I expected.
I don't like this.
What does he look like then?
Well, he's still robed skeleton man, scarf tucked up to his nose, but he's not a skeleton.
What is he?
You're not too sure because he's still very hooded, very cloaked, but there is eyeballs, there is flesh, there is a nose where the scarf is covering. The feature's still obscured as he's quite far and avoiding you, but he looks fleshy.
Grim, at what time did you regain skin?
Sort of just pause and what he's doing, just slowly turn and look at Tanith and just like, what?
I turn around to look at Grim himself.
He is just a skeleton.
Ah. So I take it at one stage you weren't.
Presumably.
I would say flesh and bone, but there's a palpable irony there. As Tanith would step away quite a large step back and gesture at the glass for you.
No, I shall turn to the black glass then and have a snoop.
So, question for you, Matthew.
Yes.
What was Grim before he was a necromancer? Or before he was a skeleton?
He was a human.
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 When you look at the, I guess, reflection, you are skin, flesh, bone, this kind of almost rosy-cheeked, dark-eyed, staring back at you.
Don't like that. That's wrong. I don't have those things.
Looking around, looking at the mirror, I guess, casting a glance elsewhere, your attention, I guess, not so as fixated as Tanith's was, the rest of the mirror. You can also see Tanith in the mirror.
Oh.
Oh no.
Though not as, I guess, fleshy or gaunt or missing ligaments or wrapped in bandages. He appears to be still quite thin, still quite, I guess, skin and bone. Very
Literally
thin.
this time.
Very thin, kind of long, almost white hair that rather than being patches or falling through bandages has been pulled back into almost a golden circlet, this braid. You can see the collar around his neck. He doesn't really wear any shirts, and you can kind of see this almost very ornate cloth that's been wrapped around his waist and fastened with gold, and these gold sandals that almost are tied up to his knees, where it would appear he has taken a different form as well, though I guess it's his face that is slightly striking to you, as whilst being very thin, is very familiar.
Don't like that.
As it would appear, Tanith, for the first time you are able to see his true race. He is an elf, by the looks of things. This pallid, almost dark blue, purplish skin that is very similar to someone else in the room.
What are you two looking at?
Not all Shadowkai look the same, That's just racial profiling.
Yeah, but these two do.
Why? Why?
As Aziza, obviously you are investigating as well, as you see the two of them gawking over at the mirror. As you head over, try to see, you can't really see anything in the mirror from your distance. Nothing too special, it just looks like black glass, until you come to approach, seeing them, the two of them stare at it. At this point, Tanith, you're kind of looking at it as well. Your form has come into the mirror for yourself, but that is not anything surprising to you. That is how you should look, by all ways you are concerned. Where Aziza, you can see a almost flesh and rosy-cheeked Grim in the mirror, rather than a skeletal Grim, and standing next to him you can see Tanith, flesh and bone without his mummy wrappings, with a face that looks very, very familiar, as your PTSD likes to strike again.
Oh my fucking god. It is you.
I'm drawing a blank. Do you recognize him? As I'm pointing at Grim, as that's the only thing I can see in the mirror.
No, I recognize you. Atsu.
No, that's not my name.
You do not remember. You don't remember me. You don't remember yourself.
I have starkly zero idea what you're talking about.
You remember your own fucking family.
You have
that's-
confused with someone else.
At this point, Aziza just falls to her knees, breaks down in tears, and nothing else.
Listen, I'm certain if you've lost someone in your past, that's an incredibly traumatic experience, but please do not mistake me with someone that I'm not.
I'm not mistaking you for anyone. You're Atsu, you're my brother. You were stolen from us when you were young by the fair you seem to love.
Oh yes, that's my entire life.
It's not your entire life. You spent your mornings with me, your afternoons with Mother. Why can't you remember?
Because
Why can't you remember?
neither of those things are true for me. They might have been true for your brother by the sounds of the name. Not for me.
You are my brother. It's you. It has to be you.
Listen,
Look
maybe
just
the
like him. You look just like me.
maybe the stress of this house is getting to you, but no. I can't exactly put that any plainer.
No, don't you remember? We had.
Grim, you can... As Tana takes a step away at that. You can amend things, I hope. You fix their mental state.
Just gives a very slow shake of the head.
Wonderful.
It's just fuck, over and over. Why don't you remember? It's you. It has to be you.
And yes, the long-awaited sequel to Oh God, oh fuck, oh God, oh fuck, oh God.
We've all been waiting.
Mhm.
No, Tanith at that point would just very awkwardly, almost stumbling, try and just move around to get to another part of the room. Putting some distance.
Don't you remember it? Don't you remember our house? You remember? Oh, we had some good times. We did.
Sure, you and your family did. Yes. Very nice. Tanith is almost starting to recoil into themselves.
Do you remember? Remember your little cat? Our little cat. Do you remember? I'll just cast Minor Illusion in the space next to me. There's just a little ginger cat. Nothing? Really? Why do you think you've got a cat with you?
Because this is
Surely there had to be some.
this is the Pharaoh's. It was a gift to help me survive here.
No.
You are being...
And she just goes back to...
The fucking returns.
the fucking return. I'd almost look between the other three in the room. Can any of you help?
Can I see the reflection?
If you head up to see, or try and see what Aziza is seeing, kind of just almost sighing, taking a step away from the broken circle and away from the pedestal, obviously awaiting them to find something to switch the cog, you kind of walk over and you can see Grim and you can see Tanith. You can see this kind of almost side view as Grim's kind of turning away, just little arch of a nose sticking out from the corner of his hood, where for Tanith you can see, I guess, Tanith before he was mummified. This very thin, kind of blue, purplish skinned elf that does have some striking resemblance to Aziza, if not younger.
The resemblance is striking, and the lack of your early memories does point towards a relation being likely.
Likely or not, it's nonsensical.
To you.
Yes, that's the perspective I usually take.
Right,
Listen.
so you have the gear.
I'm assuming the gear is still on the pedestal.
I mean, you have the thing to switch with the gear, but you've not yet switched it, considering Aziza is now on the floor.
The counterweight is what you're looking at.
Well, we need to get that gear.
Well,
It's the simplest way I can put it.
then you people who can go ahead and do so. As I'm more just keeping an eye on Aziza in the corner. It was
There's
That's probably not-
absolutely no response from me.
So Grim is the only mage hand still, I guess, responsive.
operational.
Do I need to mage hand this? I'm skeleton man. What can they do to me?
Go
I'm
ahead,
already
skeleton man.
I will use his powers for good.
He's the good skeleton.
Yeah, so I'll just attempt. First things first. Let's attempt to breach the circle.
Gonna pop your toe in, test the waters.
Yeah, test the waters.
Brave boy.
When you
Yeah.
test the waters, when you test the circle, it's almost as if there's no circle. You can't feel any resistance. You can't feel any wards, like you're passing through any magic. You just
Yes.
walk onto another bit of floor.
Okay, I shall proceed to the pedestal then and attempt to retrieve this cog.
Do you try and counterweight it, or do you just pick it up?
It's. You know what? I think Orson would be disappointed if I didn't Indiana Jones it at this point, so I probably should.
Can I get sleight of hand?
That's a great way to put it.
That's a number.
Is it a good number?
I do not disclose the nature of the number before the roll.
Oh, that is a good number.
You attempt to Indiana Jones it. Indiana Jonesing it doesn't go very well. You're not kind of like switching it at the same time. You kind of take the gear off and ready to put the counterweight on. But as you take
Like
the gear,
fumble with it and then.
as you take the gear
Oh,
off
sorry.
and fumble and try to put the counterweight back on, nothing really happens when you take the gear off and fumble around with it for a good 10 seconds.
Oh, wasn't was. I don't even have a hat to like lose on the way out.
The hood falls down.
God.
Everyone sees that Human Grim had a bald spot at the back of his head.
Looks like Africa.
As
Okay. What
you
does
have this
do?
gear.
What do?
You
A
don't
rather
know.
guilty gear.
You do notice something else, I guess, with it. Almost where the gear was sitting, there is a indentation in the pedestal where there is also, I guess, half of a key. There is like the handle that you'd put in, but then there's no, I guess, indentations for a lock. It's just like a metal stick.
Yes. Wait.
Matthew dances.
No, that wasn't. That was a. I'm trying to fill the awkward silence as I check my notes.
No, I have my cannon.
I don't dance, Craig.
You can dance if you want to.
You're no friend of
I
mine.
don't dance. I know you can. Not a chance. You can do this and you can do that, but I don't dance it out of the park.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you so much. I needed that today.
I never mind.
What were
I
you-
respect the classic that is High School Musical, but otherwise I have no findings.
High School Musical 2, you
I was
fucking
going to say
plebeian.
it's High School Musical
Plebeian.
2.
I was referring to the High School Musical cinematic universe
Oh, he's
as,
pulling on the
as a whole.
The HSCU.
The HSMCU.
Exactly.
Just MCU. Oh my fucking Christ.
What were you looking for in your notes, Matthew?
I was just seeing if we had encountered any long rods before. That's
No.
poor choice of wording.
And the only other locked door that you guys have found is back on the ground floor.
And that needed a whole key and not a half key.
I mean, you're not too sure. You weren't the one poking at the lock.
We have enough to deal with to not make me skeptical as well. Let's focus on the matter at hand and find out what the vibe of this cog thing is.
The vibe.
May I vibe check it?
Give me an arcana on the cog thing.
Alright. Vibe check. That's a decent vibe check.
Cool. It is a rather large, almost copper and brass cog that has some runes in it that seem to, whilst being quite heavily linked to evocation, primarily electrical in terms of damage and casting. It also has some necromantic symbols on it as well. It appears that whatever this thing is, it almost acts as a keystone for whatever it's supposed to be a part of.
But yeah, I don't think we can. I do not see any immediate uses for this cog. At the same time, I'd rather not pocket it because it has bad vibes.
Bad juju.
The vibe
Exactly.
check was unsuccessful.
Does Grim
No, it
give
was successful. The vibes were just bad.
Does Grim give it to anyone else to pocket, or do you just pop it back?
I think this must be useful. I think I might just have to begrudgingly pocket it because this is bad necromantic vibes, and I'm supposed to deal with the said bad necromantic vibes as a grave cleric.
It's kind of in your job description, Matthew.
Yeah, but it's just like his regular bad vibes, and it just seems also familiar for some reason, which is very bad. But that's a suitcase to unpack later.
Or never.
Keep that suitcase locked. Buried it.
Keep all my emotions right in here, and then one day I'll just die. In the immortal words of John Mulaney. But yeah, I think. What else do we need to do here?
You have keystick and you have cog, and you also have a very comatose Aziz on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
We know what we need this piece of equipment for, or have we just decided to get it?
Well, we could keep searching all the rooms.
I'm
Yeah,
with
we have-
Buckethead here, surprisingly.
We have more rooms to search.
Let's speedrun this
Three more.
I
bitch.
mean, speedrunning the rest of the rooms are pretty easy, as none of the doors are locked and they're just bedrooms. The only other door that is available to you is to the top floor of the library.
Let's check out the top floor of the library.
Does Aziza
I'm gonna-
move?
I'm gonna go to leave the study, look back at Aziz on the floor, just shake my head because this bitch is crazy.
This bitch is crazy. No, she doesn't.
This
Not
bitch
yet.
be wild.
I'm gonna leave Ia with her, just kind of looking at her from maybe 6 feet away.
As well, for Buckethead, and should anyone follow him, or if anyone hangs back with the cat to watch over Aziza,
I'm heading with Buckethead. This room has stank enough.
the top floor of the library, not much of interest here. It seems to be much more of a casual collection. Children's stories, fairy tales, where you kind of see the round balcony that you can get down. Well, there's not an easy way. You could jump over the balcony, jump over the banister, to get back down to the ground floor. Or you could just leave and walk down the stairs like a normal person.
We'll just take the stairs.
But yeah, there's not much interest, I guess, in the last couple of rooms that you guys have to adventure, as I imagine during the expanse of the opening and closing of many other doors to eliminate the top floor of any other possible leads. You guys head towards the main stairwell, where maybe sort of 10-15 minutes, probably even closer to half an hour pass, where Aziza doesn't join you. Ia doesn't come back either, staying at the other end of the room, probably invisible, yes, Craig?
Yes. I want it to be, semi-safe in case the Shatterkai goes off on a rampage.
Watching over Aziza, where it kind of gets to that point where all of you are starting to prepare to head back down to the ground floor, where she eventually emerges from the study. Tear-stained, shaken.
Little bit of thing about that. As soon as she kind of comes out of the comatose in the room, you'll just hear her fucking death shriek, and she just bolts out the door. And as soon as she sees you all, she just runs right towards you.
Tanith is probably going to hide behind either Orson or Buckethead, whichever is closest, as they're exceedingly tall.
She's gonna follow you.
Please don't.
She's getting as close as she can to you. No.
I would appreciate if you took a few steps away.
Just give me a moment,
No,
please.
no, step away.
No,
Kenneth is just gonna
Yeah.
step back.
and I won't follow you again. I'll stay where I am. I'm just staring at you the whole time.
Kenneth is not really looking at you too much, more looking at the distance and looking back at the group with a more help, please.
Look, let's just try and get out of here as quick as possible.
Thank you. Can you please listen to him?
Oh, I want to get out of here, yes. I don't want to lose you. I know that when we're done here, you're gone.
Yes, gladly, happily.
Very quietly muttered to herself. I don't know if I can let that happen.
I'm gonna shuffle around so I'm on the other side of whoever I was standing behind.
I'd probably imagine, considering Orson partaked in trying to devolve the situation, it's probably Orson.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
She'll take a step back. She'll give you your space.
Need more than that, but I don't think I'm getting that.
As you guys head back down the stairs, a very awkward shuffling down the stairs this time, considering Tanith is staying pretty close to you, Orson. Well, I say pretty close. Close enough that you're always between them and Aziza. As I'm going to move this here, is we're going to take a small break. As you guys only have one locked door left, you have one key, and I need some more juice. And we will see you all in just a little bit. As we jump back into it, where coming back from break, I'm skipping a little bit of you guys wandering corridors, checking doors, and I guess testing keys, as the long stick on the end of a handle that you did get, Grim, even though you're missing half of it, it is for that last door that you guys had. Rather than being a traditional key, it is a connecting rod. It is a grounding rod, something that when you pop it into the door to unlock it, prevents you from getting struck with electricity and giving you access to the attic stairwell, where climbing past the first floor and into the attic space, this quite dark and damp space at the top of this estate house, you guys are in the, or I guess on the final stretch of your adventure in Griffin Hill. As we come back to it and the 5 of you are upon the landing, still this very tense and awkward atmosphere between Aziza and Tanith, as there is a long stretch of corridor in front of you.
I mean, I'm not making it awkward, she's the one making it awkward.
Do we want to make sure that everyone's healed and apply any support that may be necessary?
I can't help with that, but that's a really fucking good idea.
Very good idea.
Resident healer, can we please get a... No?
Heal, please. I don't actually need healing. I'm on full health.
Good, because you weren't getting any with your uwu speak. Right, who's all injured? Is
I'm
anyone
at like
not...
half health.
I'm barely hurt.
Do we maybe want to try to take a short rest just when we get up to the top? It seems safe enough.
No. Don't take a short rest. When you're in a
Take a
creepy
long
mansion
rest.
before the big boss, I'm speaking from experience.
No, that was a long rest. Don't worry.
That was
Short
a
Still
long
rest
rest,
is
yeah.
Mondulene.
He
Mhm.
died before he had the chance to live.
I'm very glad he did.
You have two possibilities. Grim, you can use your healing, or in the interim, you guys could have had the effects of a short rest.
Do we want to take the effect of a short rest, guys?
I'm
Might
not
as well.
saying no.
I'm not saying no.
I am perfectly apt, so I'll stay up on any sense of watch whilst you guys are just relaxing.
Vibing.
So for my
I'm
4,
gonna take a short...
Orson, Aziza,
Alright.
Grim, Bucketheads,
That's not.
you can take the effects of a short rest. Expend hit die and regain your features.
I'm happy doing it
Short
just because I
rest.
didn't have any
All-
on, so...
As my boys prepare
All
for the
8
end.
hit die.
You might as well, yeah, roll them all.
We've got one big thing left, hopefully. Or a bunch of small... bunch of small things.
It's your hit die plus your cons, right?
Roll as many hit dice as you want, and then you add your con for each hit dice you roll.
Mhm.
I didn't need that much, but thanks.
There's no point not doing it, though.
No.
Mhm.
Might as well.
5d8 plus 10 takes me to 51.
31.
E6 plus.
One more. That's an extra 8. 59 out of 63, I'll take it.
That's not bad.
Need that. I'm at full now.
As for the 5 of you kind of coming up, starting to move your way down this attic route, or this attic's corridor, obviously trying to find doors, trying to find something to, I guess, investigate, to lead you. Everything seems to have been pushing you up here, and now you're looking for the reason why. As you come to the corner, doors on your left, doors on your right, however, that's not what takes your attention, as there is an archway at the far end of the corridor, where through it you can see a light, a blue light that almost seems to flash intermittently, as for Grim, a familiar whirring, a metallic whizzing noise starts to ring out in your head. It's the first time the rest of you will have heard this kind of metallic, like hissing noise, where for Grim, this is the same noise that you heard upon entering into this estate house. When you walked through that flashing light and came into this building, you heard that metallic noise rattling in the background. As the 5 of you stand at the end of the corridor with this archway about maybe 30, no, I'd probably say closer to 60 feet in front of you. 60-foot corridor. Nice and big.
Well, I'm not changing my strategy from when I first woke up in here. I'm letting the big boys go first.
Right. We just keep advancing forward.
Mm-hmm.
ignoring the doors and heading for the arch.
Heading for the arch and whatever lies in there, the final boss.
Dun dun dun!
I've got a plan.
Unless anything unless there's any noise coming from any of these extra doors, or well, it appears that there's not doors here, I presume.
Nope, they're just archways into bunk beds essentially. There can, or you do hear probably the first signs of life as you pass by them, just if you're being more aware of it, Tanith, as it appears that the rooms are probably infested with mice or rats.
Yeah, Tanith's gotten to the point where he really does just want to get out of here. So, very much liking Orson's idea of just, let's get this over with.
The big shiny thing, the big end game. As you guys head through the archway into quite a centralised room that is clearly a workshop of some kind. It is almost a fusion of modern mechanics and magic, of whirring gears and glowing essence, these vials and test tubes containing substances, these almost base metals, copper, brass. A small furnace sits in one corner for smelting. You can see the molds for crafting different components, as well as a lot of, strangely enough, bags of sand next to quite a almost stone and iron cased metal unit. That centre in the room appears to be a large machine, where a large central chamber is set up, kind of standing above a few steps, surrounded by brass gears and clear tubes. Some of the tubes are empty, they don't have anything in them, they almost look a bit more fluid rather than being rigid, where there are some that have been reinforced with copper wiring and brass that have that sparking and fizzing blue light travelling through them, creating that noise that is oh so familiar to you, Grim, when you entered into this house. There is another pedestal that seems to be attached to it, just sitting a little ways off the chamber, that has a metal rod sat upon it, though nothing seems to be atop the rod, though there is space for something to go there. Likewise, there appears to be a few other pieces missing, but you don't really take first inspection, as something else takes your attention, as tinkering with the machine, only having noticed when the five of you finally enter into the room, and Tanith taking a broad step away from Aziza and a broad step away from the group and into the corner, he kind of turns to face you, dressed in a red oxblood coat. They almost look similar to Tanith, this kind of wrapped in bandages appearance, though upon closer inspection you notice that each one is coloured, patterned, painted. It has been torn from portraits from around the manor house, this canvas being used to cover any semblance of exposed flesh. You cannot see their face. Again, it is obscured by these canvas wrappings, though almost puzzled together to create a face from different pieces of canvas he has likely taken from around the manor house. As almost red, piercing eyes pierce through the canvas and stare at the five of you, almost flickering and flicking in different directions, as they tilt their head, seemingly confused but also interested at the same time, as, I guess similar to Tanith, with kind of this voice projecting from nowhere as you cannot see a mouth or lips. He takes a few steps, paces, looks back at the five of you. You should not be here. The apparatus was incomplete. You wish to leave.
By the way, during this conversation, Orson has reached into his pocket and is holding something in his enclosed fist.
Cool.
We wish to leave. We all have places that we must be. And he'll kind of get a bit closer.
The man will kind of, or more stand his ground, but kind of cautiously looks at you. You are not alive.
I am a construct, a homunculus, and you'll keep getting closer. So, will you allow us to leave?
He kind of looks down, thinks for a moment, looks back up. You see these red eyes, or these red lights staring at you. And then he kind of almost takes a few steps towards his own workbench, muttering to himself, "What of the rest of you? Are the rest of you alive?"
Only one of us is truly alive.
Me?
Yes, you, Buckethead.
Thank you.
Orson just keeps getting closer to this guy. I repeat again, sir. Will you let us leave?
He kind of takes out almost a pen from one of the pots that is sat upon his desk. So if only one of you is alive, what is keeping the rest of you alive?
Force of will. Our origins are none of your business. We just ask that you allow us to leave. Still getting closer.
He kind of turns back to look at you, looks at the apparatus, almost directing it, or directing his conversation to it. So I cannot find someone to help me, so you bring people to help me. 4 who are not living and 1 who is. Which means I have 4 parts and 1 subject.
Well, I have been able to get quite close to this guy. And Orson will get down onto, like, lean down on a knee and be like, "Sir, I implore you to let us go."
I did not bring you here, but there will be a reason you were brought here, and it means that I can continue my work.
Let us leave. Can we leave, yes or no? Are you going to stop us?
He kind of looks at you, these kind of red lights. You kind of then see them turn up and almost affix themselves on Aziza. In the end, one of you may be able to leave. If it works.
Orson reaches down, places the item on the ground underneath this guy's feet, looks at him and says, "Have you ever heard of an instant fortress?"
What a magic item!
And will trigger Dairn's instant fortress.
So I got a portable hole and an instant fortress. This is the last time I let you guys have magic items.
Holy shit, that's 10d10 damage.
But you're also on it? Does that... do you also take 10d10 damage?
I mean, it's a dex save.
It's the dex save to take half.
Bro, you only have, like... Never mind.
It's worth it though, because that's amazing. Also, we're now in an instant fortress.
I fail, that's fine.
DC 15.
What
He
did he
also
roll?
fails.
They both killed.
He only got a 14.
You got a 14. Cool, we both take 51 points of bludgeoning damage.
Well,
How much health do you have? 62.
The fighting,
59.
the fighting space just got a lot more interesting. There's a fucking power.
Can you guys roll me some initiative?
Thank you, Ewan. You just
Right.
made today 10 times better.
Right, before we get into this, I double checked it's a Sunday. Tesco actually closes at 10. So should I just go now before we start this?
Yes.
Run.
Yeah,
Right.
Ewan
okay.
started this a lot quicker than I think M intended, so
But I will
a little
vanish.
bit.
run,
I shall
Matthew.
vanish.
Actually run.
Matthew, 13 minutes and 27 seconds.
Disgraceful.
Okay.
Rookie numbers.
Okay.
Also, Matthew, Ewan caused major problems by existing.
Explain.
The fortress has likely
Machine is
destroyed the
meant to
machine
send
that
us
brought us
home.
here.
Oh.
Because it was there, which means it took all that damage and was pushed, but in the opposite direction, so not towards the corridor, likely towards a wall. Which means very
Oh.
likely Ewan's just destroyed the thing that brought us here.
Nice.
I can't tell if that's a 20 intelligence play or a 1 intelligence play. I think it's somewhere like in between.
It's
Those two things are...
Correction.
They're closer than you would think.
Correction. It is a 20 intelligence. It is a positive intelligence, neutral wisdom move.
Mm-hmm.
I was
All the
smart enough to
smarts.
think of it, not wise enough to think of the ramifications.
It's all about the consequences, eh, Matthew?
It's
That needs to be the episode name.
As we come back to combat, where we will get to those consequences later on, when the fortress is dispelled.
If it's dispelled.
If it's dispelled. As
Can it even be dispelled?
it can, Ewan can
Command word, okay.
command word it. As for the 5 of you, your combat space is now significantly decreased. Not a lot of space at all. You have essentially a 20 foot by 30 foot rectangle to fight in. Which could go one of two ways. It could go really, really well for you, or it could go really, really badly for you. But we'll get to see how that starts with Aziza, your top of initiative.
You have a plan, Lewis?
Are you back, Lewis?
I think so. Maybe. Am I back?
You're kind of dying.
Am I back? Help.
Yep, you're back.
You're a little bit croaky, but I think you're good.
Let's see if I'm using the right.
Nope.
Oh fuck.
Do we have you, Lewis, or?
We seem to have Lewis the slideshow.
Yeah. That's actually kind of funny. We have Lewis in chat, considering Lewis in speech is slightly broken. As long as you can hear me alright, Lewis, and hear us okay, hopefully we'll get you back at some point.
Yeah.
A 13 will miss on Ray of Frost.
Rod.
As can you do anything else with your turn, or can you just Ray of Frost?
That is all.
That is all. Goodbye.
My job here is done.
Thank you very much. Should we go to Brazil?
I don't know if it's Brazil though, or if it's his actual internet. Do you like Brazil, Lewis?
Maybe.
Lewis likes Brazil. We're good.
We can hear him.
Brazil is fun, yeah. Yeah.
As we have Lewis back, we are back in Brazil. So hopefully this will hold up.
Oh, I don't want to go to Brazil.
As it is my go, because you all rolled Passion Initiative as per usual.
On brand.
Okay, so well, he doesn't quite like Orson at the moment because Orson just dropped a fortress on him.
On his entire fucking house.
Yeah, and he did like that house.
Oh, too fucking bad.
It was a nice house. Orson,
Damn.
can you give me a charisma saving throw? Thanks, Lewis. Very cool.
Yo!
Nice.
Unfuckwithable.
Orson's just been conserving all of his energy for this fight.
I actually need to take a note of these because I'm back to fucking managing.
Orphans just
stats.
aren't you tired of being nice? Don't you want to go ape shit?
As he kind of puts a hand out towards you, takes a moment, takes a breath. You watch as several of the canvas, I guess similar to the way that Tanith's magic works, starts to wrap around his hand and starts to wrap around you, almost trying to squeeze, almost trying to pull you into something. You're not too sure what, but you are able to resist as you kind of break them free, break them loose. It isn't able to wrap your body nor your mind.
Go fuck yourself, mate.
God.
As instead, seeing that's not going to work, he's only going to make one attack, which I think will miss. Although, actually, no, you've not got Wolfric's AC, so I do actually need to ask this question. Does a 15 hit you?
No, I've got an AC of 19. My AC is actually higher than Wolfric's.
Big man himself.
As the bandages kind of recoil, almost turning, wrapping into a kind of spear that attempts to almost spear your back as they kind of pull and turn into quite a terrifying
Like
form.
that.
As he cannot do anything else. And I have Grim.
Okay.
Matthew, you're next.
Rim it up.
First port of call. Move to the opposite side of the room from this fellow because he has bad vibes as well. Second port of call, spiritual weapon, because it's good. So spell attack time, with my newly improved spell attack bonus because of an amulet of devotion.
Gasp.
What's your bonus?
It's now +7.
What does an amulet of devotion do? I've never heard of that before.
I'm pretty
All of your spell attack and your spell DC go up by a number depending on the rarity. It's +2 because it's rare.
Oh, shit.
And then also you can use your... what's it called?
A child
What's it
divinity.
called? That's the word. You can use that once per long rest for free as well.
Matthew, we've essentially gone for the same thing. You just have the cleric version, and I have the warlock version.
Nice. Anyway, here's not Wonderwall. Does a dirty 20 hit?
Yes. Actually, no.
Does it not?
No. I thought it did, and then I
Okay.
moved my paper. It's close though.
So that leaves me. That leaves me with an action to do something. I shall. You know what? I haven't dropped the guiding bolt yet. Let's try that. That's also a spell attack roll, isn't it? I wish I could. Guiding bolt. Make a ranged spell attack. It is indeed. Can I do better than last time? I can.
That'll hit.
Does a 24 hit? Okay, on a hit.
So AC's higher than 20.
It's somewhere between 20 and 24. So, takes 13 radiant damage,
Ouch.
and the next attack roll made against it has advantage because he's now glowing with divine radiant light.
He's shiny.
And that is. He indeed shiny, and that is my turn.
As at the end of your turn, the shiny glowy golden light is still there, though this black mist seems to penetrate it, seeping through the canvas and infecting the rest of the room, as he seems to mutter and chant something which is very similar to that chanting that you know, in the back of your mind really remember, Grim.
I
As
don't like that.
I need all 5 of you to make me a Constitution saving throw. As you know, you've made this space very convenient for me and all my AoE.
Is this a spell? No.
21.
Pass. Fail.
I need to know if that's a fail or not.
21 as well.
What can I save?
Constitution saving throw.
Did I fail, by the way?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to attempt a luck point to reroll. That's a 17?
Just a pass.
Fuck yeah.
And definitely not a spell, this one.
Nope, not a spell.
Yeah.
I'm not looking, and he just
Damn.
bites my intact ear to make me focus.
That's a
20.
pass though.
Fucker's got legendary actions.
Well, yeah, gotta make it interesting. And I need to roll some damage because he's got an owie and he wants the owie to go away.
Do we take that damage?
Grim takes 22. Tanith, Orson, Aziza, Buckethead, you take 11.
What type of damage?
Necrotic.
Well, I
We
get to
take
half
5.
that, but again, only 5 damage.
You guys
What a
can
fucking
math.
bitch. Get a better magical effect.
Oh, he's got some, but he just wants some health back. As Tanith.
My go? Alright, I'm gonna need to ask for an extra token as I'm summoning something. No, it's me.
Have yourself.
As Tanith, incredibly uncomfortable, tries to back away, notices that they're up against a wall, and instead curses, and unconsciously, it will be noticeable to everybody else, but not Tanith themselves. From essentially where the midriff is, some more of the bandages come up, and some more of the bandages come down and start essentially coiling off of them. As they essentially lie on the floor for a second before snaking themselves around to the point in front of Tanith, where they start wrapping themselves up, and as they do, forming, essentially, as it becomes unseeable for a second, then when vision reappears, almost limbs start forming out of where these bandages are forming around, until it's formed up an entire, well, humanoid shape-esque, but what's standing in front looks a lot more like a mummy, a proper mummy this time, with a sort of rotten, hanging open mouth and such, as I've casted Summon Shadow Spawn.
Nice. Probably not too good
Nice.
for Aziza.
Lucky thing is for the
Activate the
necromancer.
power of my stand, the Hanged Man.
Oh, I mean, it's actually pretty fucking close. The version I am going with is... I was gonna go for Despair until Ewan summoned a fucking fortress and made that ability entirely useless. Is it dark in here? Or dim light?
It would be considered dim light now that there's a fucking fortress in the way.
It is Fear, as... Yeah, for now it can't do anything, but it takes its turn immediately after mine, so that'll be coming soon.
Cool.
Apart from that, with the remaining bandages, the runes will glow as I'll be activating my form of Dread. One second, I need to mark off all the resources I'm fucking using. What does Form of Dread do again? It's 1d10 plus Warlock level, so 1d10 plus 8 temp hit points. As I gain 13 temp hit points, my bonus action. And that is my turn done. However, it immediately rolls around to my shadow spawn, which follows my commands. I do not need to use an action or a bonus action to command it. And my commands just kill him. So it's going to use its multi-attack, which makes a number of attacks equal to half of the spell's level, which is just 2, using my spell save DC to hit. Well, not spell save DC, spell attack modifier.
This man knows his character.
I don't, I'm reading my sheet. As that's a 19 and a 22 to hit.
19 miss, 22 hits.
As how much damage is that? 1d12 plus 3 plus the spell's level, so that's 1d12 plus 7. Yes.
Any damage
Wait a
type?
second. Wait a second.
Yes.
That first attack would have had advantage.
Why is that?
Matthew's light.
Yeah.
Ah, cool, so that's a
Guiding
20. That's a 22 to hit, and that's also another 19 to hit.
Nice.
Thank you, Ewan, though.
We
Glad
tried.
to be of help.
The damage type is cold.
Okay.
Does that still deal damage?
Mhm.
Just before I roll. You've distracted me for a second, so I need to make sure I know the... It's 3, 1d12 plus 7. As he takes 9 points of cold damage. As it's a rather haunting experience, as... Since it's in shadow, I can hide without there being proper things to hide behind, I presume. As just standing in front of the man, it sort of lets out a slightly guttural groan as the shadows sort of almost wrap around it for just a second, and then it will attempt to hide. It does not have a bonus to stealth, so it's just +3. That's a 9, so it's not hidden, most likely, but
Yeah, its passive perception's higher
it
than 9.
it can do that every turn, so I'm not exactly complaining. I've got to roll initiative for my cat. I have too many things to manage. That's Ia's initiative. As now between me and this man, there's a rather large mummy-like creature. Though, if upon closer inspection, what would be like fleshy limbs are actually more just compositions of shadow.
As Buckethead.
My turn? I would like to move up into this asshole's face and swing my greatsword down on his fucking head.
It's a good plan. It's a good tactic. Tried, tested,
It's a good plan.
proved.
Exactly.
User ratings are high.
15
Oh,
doesn't
no.
hit, does it?
Nope.
His AC's either 21 or 22.
Action surge.
You have extra
You have 2 attacks
What
left.
hit me? Yeah, but do you not have to action surge, then extra attack, then you get
No,
the
when
action
you,
surge again?
when you
No.
take the attack action, you make 2 attacks, and then you action surge for another 2 attacks.
Okay, sorry, I've got them mixed up. Anyway, extra attack, fuck that guy.
You have 4 attacks if you want to action surge, Paul.
25.
25 will hit.
Can I just roll the rest of the attacks?
Yeah, and then you
Yeah?
can roll cumulative damage if you want.
Cool.
It's really fun.
That's a miss.
Nope.
That's
That's
22
a hit.
though.
So you get to roll your
Okay,
damage
so I get
twice.
2 hits at it.
He essentially just
Oh, yeah,
extra attacked.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's 2d 6 plus 5. So. And reroll that again. So I'm just sort of like running in and like maybe I'm getting it's on the right swing I'm doing okay, and when I bring it back from the left I keep missing, and then right again and then miss again.
You reroll 1s and 2s.
So I do! Fucking hell, I always forget.
D6s.
Paul,
Yeah,
aren't you a great sword?
Oh, did I write?
You're
I-
rolling
oh,
d8s, honey.
God, I'm bad.
D8.
I thought I typed 6. I'm sorry, my apologies. Ignore all of that.
Roll 4d6
Just roll-
for me. Roll these 4d6
46
plus
plus
10.
10.
Okay, fine. I'm so sorry for the folks at home.
Learning a new class is difficult.
It's okay though.
But I re-roll those ones.
Yeah, so reroll 2 more d6.
No, fuck.
How did you do that?
I don't
I'm
know,
tired.
what did he do?
Alright. So that's an extra
4 damage.
13.
4 damage.
So 23.
Yeah.
Extra 23 plus 10. No, wait, no. Yeah, it's just 23 damage, sorry. 23 damage, but I'll just. The ones from the right are hitting, the ones from the left are. Maybe I'm trying to dodge Orson. Yeah, they're like, oh, he's in the way. I'm better swing from my right. God, I'm bad at this.
You're doing great.
I thought I genuinely I didn't even think that I typed a D8. I thought I typed a D6, and then when none of them were above 6, I was just like, oh, that makes sense.
Buckethead, can you give me a wisdom saving throw, please? As when your
Oh,
sword,
no.
as when your sword connects, he kind of turns, these red eyes almost piercing into a constructed soul.
I reroll 1s and 2s, right?
No.
Yeah,
You're,
that's a.
you're now frightened.
Oh, well. Where am I running to in this space?
So where the little green box is that I've drawn for you guys on the altered combat map, the arrow is the corridor.
Okay.
Just for note, Paul, when you're frightened, you don't need to move.
No, you can stay
You just
stationary.
can't move closer. There's like only some specific like frighten effects force people to run away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one is that you are frightened, so you have disadvantage to hit him, but you're also considered to be paralyzed, which means he has the good things to hit you. Yeah, you automatically fail strength and dex saves, and attack rolls against you have advantage. And any attack that would hit you is considered to be a critical hit.
Paul's paralyzed? Shit.
Great. It's comeuppance for fucking the rolls.
As it's Ia's go, I assume she invisible?
Invisible. Invisible and... Actually, no, I'm not going to make her invisible, as I don't think that'll help too much. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have her land on Orson and give Orson advantage on the first attack he makes.
Orson gets the
That
hit
would be
back.
lovely if I wasn't unconscious.
You're unconscious, shit. Never mind. Who else can I give advantage to? Is it any attack roll? I need to check the help action. Give me a second. Because if it's any attack roll, I'll give it to Grim. No, because Grim should heal. Fuck, I should give it to Aziza. Where the fuck's the help action?
Would you begrudgingly give Ia to Aziza?
No, not like that. Bane, the first attack roll. Essentially, Ia will essentially hover around the guy and screech and make it kind of annoying for him to focus. So, could be anyone, but we'll say for sake of flavor. Aziza, you have advantage on the first attack roll you make.
Okay.
As Orson, you are unconscious. Can you give me a death save?
Death save.
As he
Just
entirely...
straight D20s, right?
Straight d20, yep. If it's 10 or lower, it's a fail. If it's 11 or higher, it's a pass.
Wait. Yeah, you're a barn, so I was going to remind you of advantage, but you got it.
As
So
that
you
is
get
one
a pass.
pass. And thank God for that. As it rolls round to Aziza's go.
Okay. Oh, I'm not on there right. That's why. So if Orson's unconscious, can I shoot shit over him?
Yeah, because I'm on the
Cool.
ground.
I'm just gonna cast a second level chromatic orb then. Just gonna, ball of ice into him.
Spicy.
Bowling.
I can't remember how to do advantage.
2d20 KH1. Oh, that
Yeah,
works.
that's 24.
That'll hit.
Mm,
It's okay, Matthew knows all the funny things.
21 cold damage. I ignore resistances because I have elemental adept.
Nice.
You actually went with that.
I did go with the elemental adept, yeah.
Which makes it some
Fuck
spicy
is
damage.
this?
Yes. Well, that's fun. Well, that's my turn over. Just take a step back.
Hey, you did more damage than expected with Elemental Adept.
Yes.
Good choice for her, by the way, considering she's
Love
very,
it.
like, one damage type focused.
Yeah, that was the... Yeah.
As it is back to my go. I have some spell slots if I care for them. Buckethead's paralysed, so I'll deal with that in a minute. Aziza, can you give me a wisdom saving throw? Because he doesn't really like you either.
Are you casting a spell?
No,
Okay.
this is his natural ability.
Mans is
He does have
waiting to
spellcasting.
counterspell.
He does have spellcasting, just not using the spellcasting at the moment.
18.
Who was that?
19, you pass. You are not frightened, nor are you stunned. Well, paralysed.
Oh, is he a fucking lich?
No. Do you know what TR liches are?
Yay.
You threw us against the cadaver collector,
I mean, he's not much better, but he's not a lich. As I'm going to make an attack against Paul, and I have advantage.
I just thought it would have made sense.
He's kind of a lich, not a full lich though.
Curious.
Is that as a 28 to hit you, Paul?
Yeah, that'll do it.
Shocking.
And because it hit, it is considered to be a critical hit.
Except it's not. You're welcome. I get to use my thing. I've been waiting.
Which is?
Matt, you can just say no crits.
Pretty much, yeah. What is it called? Sentinel
of
Death Door. Yeah, as a reaction, I can basically just negate a crit. I've been fucking waiting.
Thank you so much.
How did you do that?
Because I purposely took my first magic item to be used when I ran out of uses of that, but I've never needed to use that.
Also, it's the funny thing of any effects that would have triggered on a critical hit are also negated.
Yeah. So it's just a normal attack.
Big dick energy.
Big bone energy. That's no. That's worse.
No, mine was better somehow, Matthew.
I don't know how that works.
As I need to do some math. Is you take 34 points of damage, Paul.
That could have been doubled.
It could have been doubled.
I see.
And I need a Constitution saving throw from you.
It's 25 pass.
Yeah, thankfully. As this would have been
Oh fuck!
nasty.
I'm typed it wrong. It's actually it's a 23. My bad.
That's still a pass. As long as it's above 20, it's
Thank
still
goodness.
a pass.
You heard that, boys?
Above 20!
I mean, the DC is lower than 20, but I'm not going to give you much help other than than that.
Yeah.
As it attacks you, it deals damage. Thankfully, the effects aren't as severe as it could be, as Grim is able to almost block some of the canvas spears with holy light. As I attempted to paralyze, I have attacked. I can't do anything else. I've got a recharge on my actions. Grim.
Right. Okay.
No more playing around. Matthew's cracking his knuckles.
I just need to do that. Right. So bonus action, I'm going to spiritual weapon again, because I may as well make use of the fact that it is up. That's not. So then I'm going to copy that because it's useful. There's 21 hits, right?
No.
AC
Okay.
22, boys.
Yeah, I was going to say the bright side we know that. Let's see how many I can, but I can go a 1, 2, and I should drop a. Do I need any other second level spells? You know what? I can spare a second level cure wounds for you. So that would be 8, 16, 18 18 hit points back for Orson, and then I shall immediately scuttle back to my corner.
He's going home.
And that is me.
The roll
Bell.
appearing for me yet.
Hmm?
I don't have the roll appearing for me yet on the roll 20.
No, he's at 0 hit points, so I don't need to roll
Oh yeah, you don't.
because I'm funny grave cleric.
He gets all the hit points back.
He does.
As you are now up on 18, Orson.
Yep.
As Tanith.
I'm going to conduct an experiment.
Okay.
If I hit.
Oh no.
I want to see if he's got. I want to see if he can take necrotic damage, because I know a lot of us have very powerful necrotic damage spells. So I'm going to cast Eldritch Blast, because haha, funny. I'm essentially outstretching a hand, letting some of the bandages essentially coil around. Well, both arms at that point, because it's 2. I keep forgetting I have 2 blasts. And essentially just outstretching the hands and letting them shoot forward. That is a 27 and a 24.
Both will hit.
I am going to alter the first one using my... Where's the feature? I'm going to replace the damage of my first Eldritch Blast with necrotic damage.
Okay.
Should I still roll damage for that?
No.
No?
No.
Cool. The second one still does damage though, because I wasn't stupid enough to do it with both. Wow, everything in this game so far has been essentially invulnerable to necrotic damage except from the dolls. That's 6 force damage. Also, he's pushed back 10 feet, so he's pushed back up against the fortress. His speed is reduced by 10 feet. And can he make me a wisdom saving throw?
24.
24. Is it worth it making him fail? No, not at this point. I'll let him pass. Cool. So he passes that.
Cool.
Do I want to use my bonus action to do anything? No, because Hex is useless if he can't take necrotic damage. Cool. I'm going to use my bonus action
Okay.
to teleport.
Where are you teleporting?
Essentially, Tanith would... the bandages would all just fall to the ground very suddenly as all of Tanith's body becomes sand. As snaking along the ground, the bandages would, following sort of a trail of sand, teleport to the bottom right of the room.
Beside Grim.
As now I have resistance to all damage. Yes. And then it rolls around to the turn of my shadow spawn.
Not quite yet,
Yes. Okay.
because you end your turn.
I need to make sure that is how it occurs. Nope, it shares my initiative count.
Fine.
Unless you want to take that as it takes like a turn after me instead.
No, I will keep it on your initiative.
Cool. Because like the wording is, in combat the creature shares your initiative count but takes its turn immediately after yours.
Yeah, so do it on your turn. Technically I could interrupt the two of you, but I'll do it after your spawn.
As that is 2 more doses of this. As that is a 13 and a 19, so both of those miss.
Both of those miss.
As it'll use its bonus action to hide, because it might as well. That's a 14.
It is still seen.
Cool. Again, it can do that for free, so there's no point in me not doing it.
As the end of your spawn's turn,
Also, no point hitting it with necrotic damage.
the form of the Lord, this almost canvas-wrapped creature, similar to, I guess, Tannis' form of dread, it kind of echoes out, cries out. Some of the canvas wrappings almost removing themselves from the body, this cloak almost billowing as it screeches something awful, and you can see underneath it there isn't much life left. This very, very skeletal creature, almost like Orson, constructed and put back together, as until the end of my next turn, none of you can be healed.
Well, luckily we got Orson healed already.
I have just said no to Grim.
That solidifies what I think this thing is.
This is what I get for saying no to your crit.
I mean, on a positive, you've already been Matthew, so it's...
It's the principle.
As Buckethead,
What can I do that I'm frightened or paralyzed?
you're not anymore.
No, you're
It's
paralysed.
End of my turn.
I'm not anymore. So
You're good to go.
okay. I can just attack straight up.
Well, you've got to move a little bit first, but yes.
Moved. And I shall attempt to attack him again with my great sword, with the proper damage die rolled.
My shadow spawn should have had to move because I pushed it back. I forgot about that, so I've moved it into place now.
Oh god.
No.
Oh!
No, you don't attack it, Paul. You don't attack it at all. In fact, you actually swing so wide that if you're making another attack, can you roll me with disadvantage? Well, you know,
Sure
it's
thing.
it's a confined space and there's a fortress in the way. Let's hope you don't roll another that one.
Oh, I didn't. God damn it.
How did that happen?
Forgot the one.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, he forgot the 1.
That's it. Okay, 21.
Oh, nice!
That'll miss.
And this is
Yeah.
JC's 22.
I end my fucking turn then. Oh god. Orson, not Orson. Buckhead's having a bad time of it.
Yeah. Whereas taking the, I guess, initiative whilst you are not really. Oh my god, why? See,
Oh no.
I could have fudged that, and then I said, oh my god, why? So now I can't fudge it.
Nat 20, isn't it? Against 2.
Buckethead.
Wait, is this an attack? It's not nat 20 anymore. No.
How many
Illegal.
more times can you do that, Matthew?
None.
Oh, there we go.
That was my second and only chance. That was second and last chance.
Grim said no.
You legally cannot crit without Grimm's consent.
No. If you don't consent, they can't crit you.
It's only Grimm, though.
As you take 32 points of damage, Buckethead. You still up?
He's still up.
I am still up.
Can you give me a Constitution saving throw?
Jesus!
There's a lot of saves. This guy can do a lot of saves.
9.
That's a fail.
Yes.
as you are now considered to be cursed, you can no longer regain hit points, and every 24 hours your maximum hit points will be reduced by 10. But obviously that's null and void for combat. But the big key thing right now is whilst you're cursed, you can't regain hit points.
How long will I be cursed for?
You don't know.
Aye, cool. Well, thanks, DM. Very cool.
As Craig its ears go.
I know what this is now. Tanith obviously doesn't, but we're in for a fun time. Does anybody want advantage? Because it probably isn't the best idea for Ia to try and attack.
I mean, Orson's coming up next, and he's conscious now.
Yeah.
Okay. Ia would stop fluttering around this guy's vicinity and land on Orson's shoulder and just start shrieking. Orson, your first attack is advantage.
Alright.
That's all I'll have Ia do, though.
As Orson, you're up on 18 hit points.
Orson's gonna start swinging. 25.
That'll hit.
Second attack. 18.
That will miss.
Okay, end my turn there.
As he's looking not too bad. As Aziza.
Me? So, question numeral of...
Oh no, he died again.
I died?
Oh, you're slightly back.
He almost did.
Am I dead?
And you lived again.
He died.
I have returned from the death.
Wait, where's the fucking Madagascar meme?
I died, but I lived, and it's from Ice Age 3.
Ice Age, that's what it is. Sorry, my
That's
bad.
what I went.
If I did something that did a line 5 feet wide, would that catch these two boils as well?
If it's a
so. With a diagonal line, it's just going through the block.
No, it's just going through the corners, so no, they'd be fine. If it was 10 foot or a cone, then yes.
Right. Well, I need a deck save. What level?
14.
What is my last? Fourth? Oh, last. Oh, you motherfucker.
Did he pass?
I'd already said I at my 4th level. My thingamajig is 14. So it's oh shit, this is gonna roll it through D&D Beyond. Hope it doesn't. But yeah. So I gather the electricity, the energy around myself, and obviously change it to cold in the middle of that. And there's 2 ones, so it's actually 37 damage, but halved, obviously. Did you catch all that?
Yeah, just trying to math. It's the one thing I hate about
Oh,
combat.
I'll mark off a sorcery point.
So I do not like the math.
So obviously the energy that comes out is cold, not lightning. I transmuted it with funny sorcerer.
But, haha, it ignores resistances because elemental adept.
Yeah,
As it is my
and 1s became 2s. No, it's not. I'm gonna use 3 more sorcery points,
Gasp.
and I'm gonna put my little shadow hound just between Orson and the shadow thingamajigger that Craig has.
We're just boxing him in.
And I'm pretty sure he rolled his own initiative. So let me just do that. Where's the dire roll? Yes.
They've got a
What's his
plus 3.
plus 2?
Oh, plus 2. I thought it was plus 3.
They've got plus 2. Yeah. 11.
Is there now a Shadow Spectre Hound participating in the combat? As now may I take my turn?
Yes. Yes, now you can make your turn.
Yay. Thank
Oh,
you,
I've
Lewis.
Being generous.
That's 4 temporary. You're welcome.
I need to check the radius on something. Which technically, if you would like, Lewis, he is attempting to cast a spell.
I'm just gonna do it at 3rd level. Because that's all I can do.
So what are the
Counter
Counter spell.
What are the restrictions on a 3rd level counter spell? If it's below 3rd level, it's automatic.
If it's higher than 3rd level, I have to make an ability check.
But it isn't. It's
What
I
level
think if
That's
it's
what you
3rd
were
level or below, it's automatically. I can only do it at 3rd level because I've used my 4th level slots.
Yeah, it's not. It's 2nd level.
Bippity
So-
boppity, it's gone.
I have wasted a 2nd level spell slot. As
Fuck
you,
you.
as you watch as this red light from his eyes starts to swirl around him, almost moving around and entering where a mouth would be, as you kind of catch it just before the stream wisps into his mouth, or the kind of underneath of the canvas, and you just dispel it. You just get rid of it. As I...
Yeah, bro.
That's whack shit, bruh.
Aziza, give me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
you just counterspelled him. He's really not happy with you.
No, I can't.
That'd be a fail. You are now
Mhm.
considered to be frightened.
Wait.
Oh.
Reaction, flash of
I can-
genius, add 5 to that.
So, 17.
That is a pass.
Hey, nice.
This party just keeps telling Em no. It's like, no, it's not your turn. No, he passes that. No, it's not a crit.
As you are not
Em's
frightened
not allowed
or
that fun.
paralyzed. It's like fighting Eidolon all over again.
Not frightened or paralyzed.
No.
Poor
Amazing.
me's.
As Orson, I'm going to attempt to attack you. That'd be a 27.
That hits.
22, 25. 33 points of damage.
Is this 1 or 2 attacks?
1.
Okay, is he attacking twice?
He can only
Okay,
make one attack.
I'm unconscious.
As seeing that you almost affect him, stepping in the way, moving out, preventing him from frightening Aziza, you just watch Aziza. Orson kind of gets in the way to kind of defend you from his gaze, and you watch as the bandages just rise up behind him, this canvas turning into almost shards of glass as they strike down Orson and he falls unconscious.
Oh yeah, and can't we not heal anymore?
At least for now.
You can now. It's the end of my turn.
Excellent.
And it's the start of Aziza's wolf's turn. Make the jackal do the attack.
Yay. Jackal's gonna do this single attack that he had.
Better than nothing.
Right to
You
get
should have
up.
got like a little Halloween hat for it.
Now you've said that, you should have done it.
But
Just
it
edit
does
it
have
in
advantage. 2d20. Keep 1 plus 5.
That hits.
D2. 10 piercing damage. It is not magical, if that makes.
It does.
And it needs to make a strength save.
11.
It fails, it's prone, unless it can't be.
Nope, it can be prone.
The jackal just bites at its ankle then and trips it on its backside. And that's it.
Grim.
I get to do my signature. Right. First things first, let's deal with spiritual weapon again. D20.
Damn it, it's prone, so it means range attacks with disadvantage.
Is it ranged? What is it?
Any creature that's attacking from beyond 5 feet have disadvantage on attack rolls against prone creatures.
It's a melee spell attack.
The spiritual weapon
So-
can get up close and personal though, Craig.
Oh no, I'm not
Okay.
talking about the spiritual weapon, I'm just talking about in general.
Yeah, no,
I'm
I'm
fully
aware.
aware the spiritual weapon's right next to it.
What's the exact wording on prone? Is it melee attacks?
It's any attack.
Oh, do I have advantage then? Spicy.
I will
KH1.
give you a little read. An attack
Oh,
roll
look.
against the creature has advantage if the attacker is within 5 feet of the creature, otherwise the attack roll has disadvantage. So as long as
Yeah.
your weapon's the attacker, it's got advantage.
I can move it, so yeah. I can actually finally hit with it. Never
No,
mind.
you can't.
It was very disappointing. Okay, and now it's time to do my signature skeleton shuffle. As I scuttle up to Orson and drop another. You know what? Let's put it at 3rd this time. So that's he's on 0, so 8, 16, 24 plus 2, 26 HP back.
26 HP.
And I shall then scuttle off into this corner now. And that is my turn.
Free, I just do a little animation of Grim doing the crab walk.
Yeah, like I'm thinking very much like Zoidberg. Kind of scuttle.
He can even like rattle because he's just bones.
Yeah. It's like a combination of Zoidberg and Mr. Krabs. I'm having way too much fun with this, but anyway. That is my turn.
As Tanith.
Alright. I'm in a slightly awkward situation that it has been pronified. And I don't want to get any closer. So what I'm instead going to do is set myself up for next turn, as I'm coming out of my complete resistance and immediately using my shadow touched feat to cast invisibility on myself. As essentially I reform in the corner, and as I reform, it's essentially as it gets halfway up, the bottom half of my body just starts turning invisible at the same time. As that's my action. I don't really have anything to do as a bonus action, which makes me kind of sad. Actually, do you know what? Ia's nearby. I'm going to just have Ia attempt to stab him.
Get the cat to do an attack.
It's probably not going to hit, because this guy's AC is pretty fucking high. But I'm going to give it a shot anyway. Damn, that's really sad. That's so close.
Very close.
As it rolls around to my Shadow Spawn's turn, which also has advantage because it's prone and it's attacking melee. As that's a non-nat 20 and a 24.
Non-nat 20 misses, 24 hit.
Fucking sad. As that is very sad damage. As it's going to attempt to hide again.
Still seen.
I am rolling very suboptimally today.
As Buckethead.
My go?
Your go.
Ooh.
I would
You're unconscious, aren't you? No, Grim brought you back
wish
up.
to make my two. Actually,
Wait.
I would like to
No.
cast. I was never unconscious.
No, you weren't. You were still
I'm just
up.
on very
It was
low health.
It was Orson who fell unconscious.
Very low health. Let me double check. I would like to use my action to cast the cantrip Ray of Frost.
Chilly.
Is that a spell attack?
It's a ranged spell attack, which would have disadvantage because you're in melee range. He's also prone.
21 plus 3. 12 misses, I imagine.
Yeah, it does.
I can, using War Magic, I can use a bonus action to make a weapon attack as well, which I shall. Is this one got advantage because he's prone?
Yes.
Advantage.
Yes, this one has advantage because he
Natural 20.
roll damage, double it.
Let's go. That is 24 points of damage.
Wait, you roll twos, don't you?
Yeah, you reroll.
I do reroll 2. I always forget this, I'm so bad.
We need to
Don't
get
put yourself down.
Why'd you...
It made it worse, actually.
Okay, it's 22
22.
damage. And do I still get my extra attack?
No.
No.
It's
You
just
did not. You did not take the attack action. You just took the bonus
Yes.
action to attack.
Ah, I wasn't sure. But I know
It's
I know.
always worth asking. It's always worth asking.
Yes. Still, I critted, so I'm not terribly cucked about it. He is, though.
I mean, he isn't looking too great.
Someone finish this motherfucker off.
As Craig, it's Ia's go.
Invisible. Actually, no. We'll give someone an advantage on attack. Orson, you get advantage back. He attempted to stab into him, failed, so it's back on your shoulder.
Let's go.
So advantage on your first attack.
As Orson.
My turn.
My time to shine. That misses.
That'll
That
hit.
hits. 9 points of damage.
Whoa, we're getting there.
He's not on much health left.
Whoa, living on a prayer.
Aziza.
I'm going to do almost exactly the same thing I did last turn. And I'm just going to gather kind of the energy from around me, go with a blue crackly, and then sort of condense it, and then let out as a beam of cold energy. And that's a dex save with disadvantage because my hound's next to him. And maybe also because he's prone, I don't know. It works.
What are you casting?
Casting lightning bolt, doing cold damage, and the save has disadvantage because my hound is within 5 feet.
Well, that's it there anyway.
That's strange. Anyway, it's not one.
Cool.
I was just checking if I automatically failed being prone. I don't, but it's a 1.
No, that was D8s. Ignore that.
Everyone's rolling d8s tonight.
30 points of cold damage.
You rolled almost as much on d6s. Wait, you rolled more on d6s.
Mm-hmm.
Better.
Or more.
Maybe
Is
we
that
should all do
30
that.
cold damage you said you lost?
Yes.
Not 30, double 60.
Why is it doubled?
You rolled a nat
Because he
1.
nat one.
Oh, you do that? Okay. Cool.
Go off.
Well, it's Blair to. It's fair if spell attacks can crit, so can spell save DCs.
As... How do you want to kill him?
It was surprisingly easy.
The
It was a fortress.
the bolt of cold energy kind of goes like right into where the eyes, his face, basically, and just continues going, and it kind of crystallizes that part of him, and then the last kind of force just cracks a little bit.
Ice shards erupt. What is left of a body is now frosty dust. As the 5 of you are out of combat, there is still a fortress though.
I will drop the fortress.
The apparatus looks a bit
Prolong
busted.
portraits.
Is there a hole in the ceiling? Did the fortress go upwards as well as outwards?
I would like to go over to the apparatus and can I use mending and make a tinkerer's tools check?
Let me check the wording on mending. Nope. Would not work. You could attempt with your tinkerer's tools, but not with mending.
Okay, tinkerer's tools check.
Would you like advantage on
I'll
that?
I'll use advantage.
Because my cat can still help, and it's still on you.
Alright. 2d20
can guide your hands.
KH1. I'm using intelligence. KH1 plus 11. 22.
Nice. It is a bit busted, it is a bit ruined, it is destroyed as you start to clamber and put it back together. You're not quite too sure how this works, what its purpose was, or how it really fits together. There's still a few pieces missing, but you are able to, I guess, replicate how it should have been. Where the 3 pieces that you can't seem to find or put together are a central, almost gear that sits near the chamber. Whatever is supposed to sit upon the, I guess, focal pole that sits in front of the chamber, as well as the, I guess, insert for one of the collections of tubes. Most likely a liquid insert by the looks of things.
Did we not get a tube from the collector, and we got a gear from the weird shrine room?
Mm-hmm.
I'll grab. Was there not a rod on like a plinth when we entered?
Yeah, and it looks like there should be something that sits atop it. You don't know where that piece is though. Presumably that might have been the piece that exploded in the estate office.
Do I remember what the piece looked like?
Almost like a spyglass.
Did I have a telescope?
What equipment packs do you have, or do you have?
Well, I should have a thieves' tools, a dungeoneer's pack.
I'd probably say you don't have a spyglass. The closest thing you would then have would be a magnifying glass.
Magnifying glass. So could I? Would any of you have another magnifying glass?
No, definitely not me. I don't even have a pack.
I don't have eyes.
I have my crystal. If that would help at all.
Could I try and use the crystal and the magnifying glass to makeshift a spyglass to go on top of the placement?
Try and work with what you've got and see if you can actually fiddle it together.
Yeah.
Give me another tinker's roll.
18.
So you are able to fiddle one together that you reckon, at least for the purposes, should work. You're not too sure if it will work, but it should work.
I will try and attach the tube insert.
that seems to click in quite well. You watch as the red liquid seems to flow from the tube and starts to fill the apparatus. It almost starts to glow, resonating with the electrical current and starting to hum as you watch gears try and turn and they keep getting stuck as you're still missing the final piece.
And I take the gear and I place it in.
As when you do, the 5 of you stand back and watch as the chamber, this big metal tube, almost lights up with white light, not too dissimilar from the white light you saw upon entering here, Grim, as it appears to be some form of doorway.
Well, friends, this appears to be where we part.
Is that just the one location, or will it send us back to our respective locations?
Either or, it gets us out of here.
Who would like to go first?
For probably the first time in this adventure, Tana steps forward. More just turns to Orson. I've had more than my fair share of time in this place. Whether it gets us to where we need to be or somewhere completely else, I'm happily leaving.
Been an honor working with you. I hope it takes you home or to somewhere more favourable.
Spread the good word of the Universal Workers Union.
Do it yourself. And I hope you find whoever it is you're missing, as I just gesture a lazy hand towards Aziza.
Not much chance back where I come from.
Then, poor luck for you. It has been a pleasure, Orson. Thank you for being manageable. As I'll walk towards the doorway and step through it.
Okay. I need you to give me a wisdom saving throw.
Cool. That's not bad. That's a non-nat 20.
As Tanith disappears, this whirling white light, almost like a lightning strike, that seems to almost strike up some rain as the hole in the ceiling created by Orson's instant fortress now gets you all very wet.
One slightly perturbing thing they would see also is that as Tanith is leaving, they'd outstretch a hand down, which Ia would not run up, but instead start to assimilate as part of, sort of filling in some of the missing bone as Ia's bones sort of re-become part of Tanith's, as I'm dispelling my find familiar.
As there's 4 of you left.
Oh hell no, this is an expensive jacket. I'm just gonna head in.
Give me a wisdom save, Aziza.
Thanks. I have that loaded up already. 13.
As there's 3 left.
Buckethead, I think you
I
need to go and
suppose-
spread the word of the Universal Workers Union. Best of luck.
Or OWU for short.
He said it! He said it!
He said,
Let's go!
he said the
Struck
funny
by
word.
lightning from the ceiling and immediately dies.
Excellent. Yes, please.
Perhaps
Damn, if I hadn't left.
it's been very nice knowing you all. Orson, you are stellar. Good luck in your work. Hopefully I can find Count Valnheim and gain my wages back. Good day to you. Well, step through the door.
Wisdom save.
17.
I think you should go. I'll go last. If anything happens to the machine, I can fix it.
Right. One way or another. See you on the other side. And he'll give like a curt bow and then step through.
Wisdom save.
And don't even. Yeah, I was gonna say, you don't need to. There's a number.
Donkey number.
As last but not least.
Orson will take a bit. He'll kind of potter about.
Take the house
Stops.
for himself.
He's actually set up a trap for us all. He was the Dread Lord.
Oh no.
He'll potter about for a bit. He'll have a look. He'll pick up anything that he thinks is particularly interesting. Then he'll kind of start his jacket and goes, I hear that James Joyce fellow's releasing a new book. Better get back in time for it. Once more onto the breach. Allons-y. And jumps through the...
He's met the Doctor. It's canon.
And my wisdom save is a 15.
As we come to the end of our Halloween session, we come to the end of this year's Halloween special, with the 5 of you being able to at least for some time, put an end to the Lord Godfrey and escape Griffin Hill. Though, perhaps not the escape that all of you had intended, as Tanith, you step through the light, hearing the metal whirring, hearing it whizzing in the back of your head, where when you step back out, you almost feel yourself stuck in place. Though, it's comforting. It's where you should be. You can look out, feeling stuck in place, standing in front of Pharaoh's tomb, as was intended, and back where you should be, though at the same time, you're not with him in the land of the dead, so that itself is perhaps a little perturbing.
It's a bit perturbing, but probably after, I don't know, 100 or so years, the light slowly just goes out. Not dead, just sleeping.
Grim, since you are next on my list that I have written. You pass through the light, and strangely enough, are still on the mountain on your pilgrimage, in the middle of a thunderstorm no less. You can see the light of a small town at the base of the hill, and a chapel just beyond this monumentous cathedral building. You are back on your quest for answers. Hopefully, your good work in the manor, bringing an end to this machine and whatever pain it was causing people, has put you in favour with your god, and perhaps at the church, you'll be able to find out whether that's the case or not. Buckethead. When you come out on the other side of the mountain, past the tunnel that you were venturing, to follow a new lead, to go and find your former master, where perhaps your luck has taken a bit more of a favourable turn as you come down the hill and go towards the town, where a familiar carriage sits outside one of the, I guess, more luxurious inns, as it would appear your master's in town.
He's ready.
However, for the two that are left, it would appear there is a new party wandering through these halls of Griffin Hill. Strange faces from strange places, admiring portraits and paintings upon the wall that seem to conspicuously be missing faces, though two of them seem to have rather new faces. As upon the walls of Griffin Hill, perhaps for a lifetime, who knows? Orson, Aziza, the experiment failed. You were not able to pass through the apparatus, and are now part of the ghosts haunting Griffin Hill.
Rip.
As here we are at the end of the road, where, through all the trials and tribulations, you boys made it in one way or another. As, for now, it is goodbye from me, and goodbye from my boys.
Night.